Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Back with Slick and Thick episode. I don't know. That's too high for me to count.
The best one.
And
The
to
best
my
one.
left, at 6'3", 200 pounds, every one of them is a problem. The people's champ, the tamer of sages, the master of punks.
Get him.
The next person I'll work on will be the first person, the prettiest man to ever step inside the ring, the future champ, the people's champ, Mickey Gall.
What's up, baby? What's up, baby?
What's happening? I'm Gerard Michaels, the funniest motherfucker you've never heard
truth.
of. And to my left is a legend, a true dyed-in-the-will legend. Like, we're legends in our own mind, Mick. We got an actual...
And we got a lot of work to do to catch up to this
True
guy right here.
G.
We got a lot of work to do.
the one, the only Chazz Palminteri. What's
Hey,
up?
What's
welcome,
up,
B?
Chaz? Welcome, Chaz.
up, guys?
Welcome,
What's
welcome.
going on, man?
All right.
So do you get people when they're in the street that they come up to you and they say, "Hey, Chaz," or they come up and they're like, "Hey, Sonny"? Which one is it? Which jamoke comes up to you and says,
You'll get somebody who goes Sonny. Yeah, you'll get somebody who does that.
For sure.
That doesn't bother. Yeah, but mostly Chaz, they see Chaz. But there's always somebody who goes, "Hey, Sonny," yells it across the street or something like that.
Such an iconic role. And what's got to be so cool is that's yours, too. Like, that's you made that story. And you've been in, like, 100 things. But that one
Yeah.
is, like, and that's yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your story.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the thing that catapulted me to, becoming a star. I mean, that's really what it was. I did that, and then, bam, right out of that was the Usual Suspects, then the Academy Award, the nomination with the Bullets, and all those things just happened in a row. And I've been on living, going straight now for like 35 years. So
Unbelievable.
But it wasn't all peachy keen. I remember from our time on the PBC
Yeah.
podcast, you were out in L.A. grinding it out.
Oh
for years.
yeah, I'm not an overnight. You don't forget, I made it when I was 39 years old. So I've been acting a long time. So, but it's just one of those things. I wrote my own project, and I said, if they won't give me a great part, then I'll write one myself. And I wrote this one-man show about me growing up in the Bronx, this killing it really stems from the killing. I saw this killing when I was 9, almost 10 I was, right, actually. And the guy looked, he killed this man right in front of me. I thought they were fighting over a parking space. You know the whole story. And
Of course.
what happened was, then the guy stared at me, and the next minute I knew my father dragged me upstairs. Cops came up. I didn't identify the guy. I refused to identify him. And the next day, I was sitting on the stoop again, and he walked by, and he looked at me and went, pointing at me like, "I know that you know that I know." And that's how it really started. Then he just said, "Hey, come in the club. Go get us some sandwiches," and give me like $5, which was like thousands of dollars, So I would go in there, and I cut up the lemons and the limes for the bartenders, and that's how the whole thing started.
Now, in that time in New York City, that's a wild story, but it's not like a crazy atypical story. A lot of people have a lot of stories kind of there. They lived in that environment.
Yeah.
But those are stories that get told over a couple drinks at a bar.
Right.
You put pen to paper. When did you know that there was a movie here? There was a story worth telling here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good question, Gerard. I always wanted to talk about it. I always wanted to, write about it. And I was I used to write poetry. I used to write short stories when I was younger. So I always wanted, it always stayed in my head. And what happened was, when I needed money, and I was working as a doorman at a club, and then finally I got fired because I wouldn't it's a famous story in Hollywood. I wouldn't let this guy in. He was really nasty to me, and he was belligerent, and he said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, you're the guy who's not getting in tonight." So that really pissed him off, and he said, "You'll be fired in 15 minutes, and 15 minutes later, sure than shit, I got fired, and the guy was Swifty Lazar. Now, Swifty Lazar, you guys are too young to remember, but he was the biggest agent in the world at the time, in the world. He represented Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton. I mean, I couldn't have screwed up my career more than fucking with this guy.
Yeah.
Right? And
An aspiring actor.
yeah,
Telling
aspiring
the
actor.
biggest
And I just
agent to go fuck himself.
I told him, go fuck yourself. And it was his party that I wasn't letting him in. It was his party. and he was late for his party. That's why he was so belligerent with me, like, I don't have to be on a list. Just give me. And I said, oh, fuck, man, take it easy, you know? And the boss came out, and he said, look, I love you, man. You're a great guy, but I got to fire you. He has too many parties here. You know, what am I going to do? He doesn't want to see you again. I said, all right, don't worry. You've been good to me. I went home. I said, what am I going to do? And I said, well, if they won't give me a great part, then I'll write one myself. Fuck it, I'm not going back to New York. And I bought 5 tabs of yellow paper at Thrifty Drugstore on Ventura Boulevard, and I started writing The Killing. And that Monday, I performed it at my theater workshop. And everybody was like stunned. What the fuck, you know? And everybody saying, oh my God, do you have any more? And I said, wow, I got something here. So each week I would write 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then I would perform it on the Monday.
Wow.
And then when I got there that Monday, I performed it, and I taped everything with the cassette players. We had cassettes back then. This is 1988.
Minute a page, basically. So you're writing 15 pages, memorizing.
I was
15?
writing. Yeah, I was writing, but at least just writing, and then I would perform it, and then I would see what worked, and I could tell by the audience what stories worked, what felt right,
Wow.
and I kept juxing the positions.
You were workshopping your movie.
I was workshopping the movie. And then out of the 15 pages, I would take 4 pages. I'd throw out the rest. And I'd do the same thing next week, and next week, and next week. Oh, wow. And then finally, after almost a year, I had 90 minutes of this show that I've been doing now.
Audience tested.
Wow. Audience tested. It's like if you, look,
right?
you stand up. When you do stand up, you go to places 100%. And you try it out, and you take the stuff that you go, all right, this is something.
This stays, this goes.
This stays, this goes. Same exact thing.
Do you have any footage of that when you were doing that? Is there any footage of that?
I don't have footage of that. No, I don't. I wish I did,
God,
but I do have
That'd be
footage.
amazing.
I do have footage of the first time I ever did the show. The first
Wow.
time. That's pretty weird to see me 30-something years ago doing it. You know, I have footage of all the shows that I've done in 30.
It's amazing to me that the suits didn't want you for Sonny. I mean, you were just you couldn't have been typecast.
No. The suits. It was always the same thing. The suits always said to me, "You're a great actor. You'll be great as Sonny. We just can't make the movie with you because
you're not a draw.
You're not. Nobody
You
knows
weren't a big
you."
name yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
They said this is a starring role, and plus the problem was when Pacino saw it and all these guys saw it. Burt Reynolds.
They wanted the role.
They wanted the role.
That's right.
So they were the hot guys at the time. Al and Al's still hot.
Can you imagine?
So everybody's
Burt Reynolds is son. Oh my
everybody's saying, I want to play this part. Every big star wanted to play Sonny. Every producer, every director, A+ director wanted to direct the movie. Every studio head. Now you got to picture this now. I'm totally unknown. I put this play up. Bam! The reviews go off the fucking charts. The reviews are like, forget it. It's like my mother wrote them. You know,
Was it a one-man play when you were doing it?
one-man play.
Wow.
Right. It's just the way. If you come, I'm going to be at. I'm starting this year. This year, I start at the Paramount Theater in Huntington.
Okay.
In Huntington, the Paramount Theater. I'll be there January 29th.
We'll be there.
Slick and Thick will be there.
Slick and Thick will be there.
We'll be there.
That is a show you will see that I did 34 years ago. That I wrote.
Unbelievable.
So-
My family has all seen it. Like all my cousins who I
Right.
told you about, my cousin Biff who I had to write the thing, they all love it. Like everybody loves it. My Uncle Freddie loves it, my Aunt Tata. Everybody when they saw it, it was something special.
I
they
have
said.
people who saw it 80 times, 50 times.
Wow.
I mean, this is my 12th time at the Paramount, and I'm sold out already.
Where were you doing it in
awesome.
L.A. originally? Where did you?
Originally, I did it at the West Coast Ensemble. Then the theater was too small. Then we moved to Theater West, which was the theater I developed it in.
Did you pitch it to the creative director there, or did you rent the space yourself? How did you market it? You did everything yourself?
I did everything myself.
Pre-social media. This is like
This is no social media.
grinding, baby.
This is grinded, baby.
This is the real world.
yeah, get out
this
there.
was the
the
real
good
world.
old days.
Selling your
man.
CDs on the
Shit.
subway.
No, what
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
was I had this. There was a woman, I forgot her last name, Carol. She ran the Ensemble Studio Theater, and she said, "You know, I hear you got a one-man show. They've been telling me you wrote it over here at this theater." And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You know, I'm doing a whole thing of one-man shows. Would you like to perform it?" Now, I never performed the whole thing in front of an audience straight. I said, I figured it's another workshop, 30, 40 people, right? So I go, "Yeah, I'll do it." So she gives me the date. I go there. I'm the last act to perform on that day. There's one act before me, then I go on. So I go I get there, you know, and I go in the back and I wash my face, you know, and I'm getting ready to go on. And I hear like a lot of people. I said, Jesus. I said, how big is the class? She goes, no, it's not a class, Chaz. It's a performance. I said, how many people are there? She goes, 300. I said, 300?
Sink or swim, baby.
300?
Like,
I said, are you kidding? I said, I never did this before in front of, like, the whole thing straight. She goes, well, could you do it? I go, yeah, I could do it. I said, just put a chair out there and I'll do it. So I put a chair out there. No lights, no sound, nothing. I go out there and I performed it. 5 minutes standing ovation at the end.
Wow.
And I said,
Fucking
holy shit, this is...
you knew you had some.
And then
It's your story, though.
it's my story.
It's your that's the key there. Nobody could have done your play like that because they didn't live it.
Well,
You
right.
felt it.
No,
You
lived
I
it,
hear
yeah.
most people say they live a life very similar to mine. I go, well, you should have wrote it then.
Yeah.
I hear people go, you know, that's my
should've.
story. Well,
Yeah.
you should have wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that happened to you, why didn't you
Absolutely.
fucking write it? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You even say that in the movie. This is just one of many Bronx tales.
I said, that's
you know
what I'm
I mean?
saying. This is
There's
just
a lot.
another Bronx tale. I'm just another tale of 100 guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's really what it is. So I performed it, and everybody, the crowds just came to see it.
That's got it. What are you feeling in that moment? You've been out in LA for how long at that point? 10 years?
Yeah. Well, not 10 years. No, I was only out in L.A. At that time, I was out in L.A. 5 years.
You're out in LA 5 years.
5 years, but 10 years before that, doing in New York.
10 years before that, doing it in New York.
For 15 years.
Grinding, starving
Grinding,
artist. You'd
starving.
had
Working
a
as
couple roles,
doorman,
right?
What?
Working as a doorman while
Working as a doorman, yeah. But don't forget, I started studying acting in the 70s. I was with Michael Shurtleff, and then I started studying with Lee Strasberg. Him.
Oh, you did Lee Strasberg. Wow.
No, but when you say people go, you study. I studied.
The Strasberg method.
I studied.
Yeah,
with,
you
I
with
studied
him.
actually with Lee. You know, I couldn't get into his class in the beginning because I was too young and I wasn't ready. But then after I studied with Ernie Martin, then I got accepted into Lee's class to study with him. You know, and Ernie Martin was a great teacher too. I just realized that. I got to give him a shout out. His daughter's teachers now. She's great too. But it was a great experience for me. But then I got into a rock band. I started performing all over the country, and then I did that for like 10 years.
well,
on
that
and on.
explains Dante's musical side
Yes,
as well too.
yes.
Okay.
So
I
then-
didn't
Wait,
know.
wait. So I had no idea you were in a rock.
Yeah,
band.
I didn't know that.
I had hair down here.
Get out of here,
Oh
dude.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Do we have any songs on Spotify? We gotta have it. Did
Yeah.
anything
Not
make it
no.
there?
Need to
We
pull-
were a cover band.
pull
We were
that
a
up.
cover band. We were a
Gotcha.
total cover band. We just didn't write. You know, maybe we just couldn't do it. I don't know. We just didn't. No, didn't write. We had one song on that I wrote on the R&B charts. It was called "Meet the Beat," and we went to number 28. That I wrote. That I didn't perform. Actually, another group performed it. But that's about it. No, but we were good and we made money, and that always kept me away from my first love, which was acting and writing. Then finally, I quit in 1979. I quit the band totally, and I started studying even harder, and went back to acting and writing. And then-
R&B was the style you guys were doing, or was
yeah,
so R&B
cover
rock?
cover bands, you know,
Okay.
the OJs.
Well, we knew Chaz had soul. We know he's
Oh,
dating
yeah,
those
of
fine
course. Oh, yeah.
sisters and stuff from.
Oh yeah, me and the sisters go way back.
Billy D coming up. You'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I mean, do you think? And in the '80s, were you? Was the New York accent? You have the Italian upbringing.
Right.
Is this after the Godfather, everybody kind of like tried to go away from that a little bit. I feel like. Do you feel like you were typecast?
Yeah, well, I get typecast sometimes. I mean, I was the wise guys, and also I played cops, I played lawyers, I played doctors. But a lot of my famous roles that really were big happened to be, Analyze This, and Bronx Tale, and things like that. But then Usual Suspects, I was an FBI agent, so.
You ever sit back and think, man, like, you're talking about 39 years old when you hit it, then all of a sudden, look at the movies you've been in. Look at the people you've been with. I mean, you've been with.
You became a bona fide star.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
What was it like being on set with Billy Crystal, man? What was that?
It was great. It was great. Billy's a really smart guy. He's really funny and a terrific actor. He's really good, man. He's great. I mean, I remember I was ad-libbing a bunch of stuff when we did Harold Ramis, God rest his soul.
He was phenomenal.
He was phenomenal director. Really liked him a lot.
The last Ghostbusters, I think, really did him justice. The last one.
He
really
was
beautiful.
great. And when I was doing things like, some of the things in the script, but then I kind of started riffing off Vinny Boom Bats, Banky Gaga. And then Billy just saw that and saw everybody laughing. And then he said, could I do? And Harold says, yeah. And then he started, that was total improv on Billy's part too. And he just went, sometimes the thing moves, but that's a thing for another time. I was all improv, and he was.
You want a fresh one?
I want a fresh one. I mean, that's Billy at his best. He was great. He was great, and we had fun. We just had a lot of fun doing it. Bob was just so good at it.
Well, give me your, how we talk about in sports a lot, your Mount Rushmore. Like, if you had any teammates, you've been in with De Niro, Walken, Gabriel Byrne, Kevin Spacey, Ed O'Neill. I mean, a lot of people forget you're in Modern Family. I mean, phenomenal role in Modern Family.
And then you got some of my favorites, Godfather, Harlem,
Forrest Whitaker.
These are all great actors. Man.
Chris Rock. What was that Chris Rock movie?
Great. Chris Rock.
When he dies and he comes back as the guy. I love that movie.
Tom Hardy and Tom Hardy.
Heaven Can Wait.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Is that Heaven Can Wait? Yeah, I remember that one.
Heaven Can Wait was great.
Yeah, Chris is terrific. I loved him. He was great.
Can you tell right away whether somebody is like they've got it or they don't? They get on set. What are you looking for from your fellow actors if they're ready to rock?
If somebody, I know it's cocky to say, but I'm never worried about me. But when you work with people like that, you don't have to worry about them. I mean, working with De Niro and Christopher Walken, and I was on stage with Al Pacino in New York, and wow, these are great actors, man, really great actors, and. So you got to keep it's like playing basketball one-on-one with Michael Jordan, You want to do your shit too,
Yeah.
So you just
a little bit of iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, you focus. I always say, look, I always want to work with people. If they're not just as good as me, they're better than me. Because I learn things. I see things. I learn things. You learn little things as you go on, and. I love the craft. I love doing it. I love to work with great people.
As great as they are on screen, sometimes it seems like the longer someone is in this industry, or they make a left turn as a person, as a human. Like they're a little crazy. Do you think that's an LA thing? Do you think that's an acting thing? Do you think that type of personality?
No, I look. Some, like especially comics, there are certain comics that they're on all the time. Mm-hmm. They just can't help it. They're on, like Robin Williams, God rest his soul, who I knew very well, and I hung out with Robin at times. It wasn't my best friend.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say I know him very well, but I've been around him a bunch of times. And he was in a movie that I directed called Noel. I directed him in that. He was extremely funny all the time. I mean, all the time.
To the point it got tiresome, or
no?
Oh, he was just that good.
Like there are people who you go, all right, could this guy just turn it off? He was so fucking brilliant that it was so funny. You loved hearing it. I know that sounds crazy, Gerard.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean. I have a friend like that too, where it's
he's
like
just
it's
so
just
funny.
whatever he does.
Thanks, man.
But the incredible thing about him was he'd be like telling a joke, and there's a very serious scene coming up with him and Susan Sarandon, that I was directing. And he's telling everybody in the corner this story, and it was so hilarious. And I figured, gee, does he got to like get a moment before he does this scene? And he's just doing it by himself. No, leave him alone, So I just go, Robin. I said, let Robin, we're ready. He goes, oh, we're ready? Anyway, this thing down. Okay, let's do it. Right into it, man.
Wow.
Right into it. Like,
It's like he shuts off one
Talent.
voice in his brain, turns on the other one.
Yeah, no. So, but other people, they different. They have to be alone for a while, and that's fine too.
I love those stories, man, of like kind of,
and that's okay,
that older school filmmaking is so beautiful to me. It's so less corporate. You hear about like the old National Lampoon and like Caddyshack, where they took the script and they were just like, you know what, these guys are funnier than me. Here's where the scene starts. Here's where the scene ends. You guys get it going. The what's it called? The old wives' tale, the myth of the famous monologue from Bill Murray. So I jump ship in Hong Kong and I make my way over to the bet. Apparently Murray was just passing time between set. Like he was coming off the top of his head and the director's like, you believe this shit? Just start rolling. They're just rolling. And he's getting into character. Yeah. And you can see the kid laughing. The actor who has like the pitchfork is laughing the whole time because he's not in character. They don't know they're rolling, but apparently that's just what it was like on set there the whole time. They were just going, man.
But that's the beauty. See, that's the smart thing about a director. Like the many times when you see some directors, they hate to take, especially writer-directors are the worst. And I'm a writer-director.
Say my line.
But I'm always like, if you had a line that's better than mine and you feel comfortable, you say that line. Fuck my line. Get it out. That's the real right way to do it. Because what are you protecting your movie from? A great idea?
Right.
But that's the way it is in life.
It's an ego thing.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Like if some people go, if I didn't come up with this idea, then I can't be this talented. So I got to stick with my idea.
Interesting.
When I'm directing a movie, there are a bunch of times where I went, okay, we're going to set up here and everything, and we're just about to say, all right, let's move the camera here. I want this, I want that. And all of a sudden, the first AD will say to me, though, he'll go, hey, Chaz, if you shoot the scene on that window, you're going to get the sun's coming. It's better there. You're going to get the sunrise, sunset. And I went, now this is right in front of the whole crew. I went, fuck that. He's right. Move everything.
Yeah, good for you. Not have that ego that's going to hold you
it's
back.
About
like
it's
that.
about a final product. It's about the product.
What am I doing? He was right. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong window.
You'd be surprised how rare that is, though.
It doesn't even have to be wrong. It just is better.
No, it's just it's like, I didn't see it. I'm looking at 100 different things. You saw it.
Yeah, a lot of people are like trying to do like almost like power plays. Yeah. And they don't want to you know what I mean? Like and to the detriment of their own product.
Exactly.
Which is, you know what I mean? It's such a shame.
It shuts down the creativity on the set because once somebody has a good idea,
that's it.
Everybody knows I got to shut up until this thing's done.
But once you take a good person's idea, they all go, oh shit. Hey, Chaz, you got to know when to draw the line out.
Sure.
But if somebody, I always say, if you have a great idea, you tell me. If I like it, I'll use it. If I don't like it, I won't use it. There's a scene in Bronx Tale where one of the actors, I forgot his name, he comes out of the bar, and we needed a piece of business to fill in this 4 seconds. And I came up with something, and it wasn't that good. And Bob came up with something, and it wasn't that good. And then we both came up with something, and that wasn't that good. And I said, what the hell? And we were trying to figure it out. And the guy flipping hamburgers, the crib service guy, was right next to us. And he's flipping the burgers. He was a real neighborhood guy from Brooklyn. He goes, hey, Bobby. I know those guys. Hey, Bob, Chaz. We go, yeah? He goes, I know what you're looking for. I got a great idea for that part. So, we say, what? Remember years ago when used to play the numbers and what number's leading? And they would say, what number's leading? And the guy would go, the 3's leading. Give me the 3. They would put the thing on the top of the head, 3 or 2 or 1. I said, yeah. He goes, why don't you do that? Ask him what number's leading. The whole number thing.
Wow.
And I went like this. What? Tell us that. and you see the movie, and Bob loved it, and I loved it, obviously, and it's in the movie.
I love about that the authenticity of the fact that your movie was a time period piece, also. Which, 60 to 68 adds how much money to the budget you needed for that thing too. Because did they ever try to force you to try to make it contemporary for budgetary reasons?
No, a few places mentioned it, but I just said, don't even
stop.
Oh, the thing shit I heard first. I had one studio that loved it, and I wasn't going to make it with them, but they said you got to take out the girl, the black and white thing.
Really?
And I said, and I was just curious. I said, why is that? They said it slows up the movie. It's really between the three people. I said, no. That's the idea. The kids growing up in front.
That's one of the most beautiful parts.
It's a commentary on that point in time.
And how he how his father looks at one thing and how the son looks at one thing. So that was dumb. And the next thing was
that'd be the whole thing that sold the movie today.
And a big thing, right? A big thing. They didn't want Sonny to die.
Because they wanted a sequel.
I remember reading about that.
They didn't want Sonny to die.
They want a sequel. It made so much money, man.
They just thought Sonny was such a beloved character, and everybody loved him, that they didn't want him to die, that it would be a downer. I remember the head studio guy said, well, that's depressing if Sonny dies.
That's what made it so perfect.
I said, let me explain something to you. I said, Sonny dies, it's a catharsis.
Sure.
It's actually a happy ending.
Yeah.
Once he dies, the boy realizes his father was right.
Sonny's not the hero. Kalojiro's the hero.
Kalojo and the father are the
Lorenzo,
heroes.
yeah.
So the boy sees it's a catharsis. He learns.
Sure.
Romeo and Juliet is a happy ending. They both kill themselves, but the families come together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. In every tragedy, it's a catharsis.
Sure.
You learn something from it. So, Romeo and Juliet at the West Side Story.
Thank God you told them all to fuck off.
No, well,
because that would have changed the movie so much.
Well, I was blessed because I had De Niro.
Right.
He had all the power, Bob. Bob had all the power, and Bob just said, "Get the fuck out of here,"
Wow.
And he took your back, like, with everything.
Everything.
Like, beautiful.
Awesome. He was just incredible. And I say this all the time. I've always said this. A bad director could fuck up a great script in a heartbeat. It's the director's vision. And he took my script, and he let me be the only one to touch it, and he just let it fly.
Awesome.
And he's responsible for how great that movie is.
It's an almost perfect movie, man. I mean, it's an almost perfect movie. I mean,
really is.
It's the acting, the directing, the dialogue, everything about it. I mean, the score is iconic.
Yeah.
Nobody can listen to the Beatles without going, "Now you can't leave." Like, I mean, it's. I mean, it's just. I mean, when you were making it, at what point when you were making it were you like, this is special. We got something good here.
Nobody ever knows, Gerard. That's a good question. I knew it was good. I knew in my heart it was good. And the reason why I knew that.
And then you get that kind of trepidation, like, man, don't screw it up
No,
in post.
no.
Don't screw it up in post.
The reason why I knew that was because Bob took my script and put it on there, and the scenes worked. Because I did them already.
Yeah, you knew.
I knew.
But that doesn't always translate.
It doesn't always translate. But I knew that
West Side Story you were talking about. West Side Story is one of the best plays you'll ever see. It doesn't translate to film.
Well, I know. The original one I thought it was great. Well, that's
cool. Who might have this far be it for me to disagree.
But it just worked. And I remember saying to Bob a few times, "Bob, I'm telling you the dialogue here. It's going to work. You'll see." And certain things, and it worked, because I performed it. When you see the show, when you see my one-man show, you got to look at that and go, "Holy shit, he did this before the movie." Yeah. You're going to say, "That's the fucking movie."
That's the movie.
That's the movie. I do A Bronx Tale on stage alone. I play all the characters, 18 characters.
I've heard.
Now you say, how the fuck could that be? I don't know. I figured out a way to do it. I don't know.
Now that what you guys were saying before, how you were saying like trust the words, like trust the script, like it's gonna work. For you two, you performing on stage and you performing on stage, just then when you get into like the acting climate where you don't see the reaction of a crowd or an audience, could that almost like kind of shake you guys, or almost like change your, like you're like, I don't know if it's killing, like if you wouldn't know if the jokes are good, or you wouldn't know if you're gonna elicit the proper emotions.
Right.
Like, is that like a Is that something like that actors or comedians?
Well, for me,
or
it
comedian
depends
actors?
on how far along into the bit I am. Like if I've done this bit for 6 months and it kills every time, I need to like real quickly ascertain like is my delivery off or are these people just out of it?
No. I'm saying if now you're doing it on like film where you're not in front of an audience, like it's if it's like quiet on set and you know what I mean, like you aren't hearing the laughter of the crowd.
Right.
Oh,
Or if you,
Well, in comedy, he has to have a crowd there.
Have to.
You
but
have to have
if
a crowd.
but maybe I wasn't clear. If a difference between stage acting and acting like on film,
Yeah.
right? Like on the stage, you're getting like you can kind of feel the crowd
Yes.
and certain things like that. And you in acting that you've done,
Right.
if you're not getting like the laughter and stuff, could it throw you a little
Well,
bit?
it's really the difference, and Chaz obviously speaks on this, but I mean, theater acting from television acting, like,
Right.
Something that we would call the perfect 10, where somebody's like really big in their movements and they're very slow in their cadence. That's perfect for theater. You're allowing people to be a part of it. There's almost like a wink and a nod breaking that fourth wall.
Right.
But if somebody goes that big in their, really television,
suspension of
it's more about
disbelief is
it's
gonna
more about
be
subtlety.
thrown.
I mean, some of
Yeah.
the best actors in the world,
Subtle.
it's their eyes.
Uh-huh.
Their eyes
Right.
are
Right.
communicating
On screen.
with
On screen. I mean, I've been on Broadway, and I've been in some great plays, and I've been in some bad plays. And boy, when you're in a bad play, it's rough.
That's got to be tough.
You're standing on stage with your pants down.
Yeah.
You feel it. The jokes ain't working. You're dying up there.
Yeah.
And it's horrible. But, the good thing about a play is that it's over soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You hope it's over soon.
Do you ever feel like calling timeout and going to one of your actors and be like, no, you want to say the line this way.
No,
This is why it's
I
not
remember,
landing.
I remember first starting out, I did a play at the American Theater of Actors, and it was just a bad play. But, as a young actor, you take the job, I was in my 20s, and I was so happy I got a part, and I did this, and it sucked. And the reason why it sucked was because, that's been a long time, so I could say it, the director put his girlfriend as the lead.
There it is.
Okay, and she was not up to the task. So I'm in this play with her, and she's terrible. And I'm acting with her. I just want to go, all right, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this sucks. And I'm about to leave the stage right now. You will never, ever see me again on stage. God bless you all. Good night. You know how many times I used to say that at night?
Yeah.
Me and my friend Dayton Cowley, who's a wonderful actor. He's been on many shows. If you saw him, you know who he is. He did Sons of Anarchy. And
Oh, okay. Terrific.
He's a great actor. Him and I were in that show. We always bring that up. We go, how bad was that play? And we just laugh about it.
Yeah.
But it was a bad play, and so it's horrible.
But hey,
You got to go through some stinkers. To,
Oh, you have
know what
to.
I mean? You got to, yeah.
But nobody's
you
immune
gotta
to
do
it.
some crappy gigs.
That's all I have are crappy
I've had to
gigs.
fight in some gymnasiums, It's like, it's part of paying your dues.
It's part of paying your dues.
Listen, I
man.
think Francis Ford Coppola is the greatest director to ever live. I love him, and even The Godfather 3, he put his daughter in a role she couldn't handle and it tanked the whole movie.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not. You don't have to say that. I'll say no one's immune to it. No
Yeah,
one's immune
well,
to it.
It's like
would blame-
Yoko Ono
yeah.
and
Yeah, let's do a duet,
yeah,
Yoko.
yeah,
You
she's
sure,
screaming
Jack?
in the
You sure?
background. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Godfather 3, it's not her fault. I mean, the movie just...
And she's a phenomenal director,
I
as
don't
it turns
blame
out.
her.
But the script wasn't that great. The story wasn't put... I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah.
Those
And the
first two are such masterpieces.
Well, the first
it's
two
hard to live up to.
masterpieces.
And then but again, to give Sofia Coppola her flowers, I loved Lost in Translation.
Yeah, she was great
I
at it.
thought that was incredible.
Great.
Is there any role that you were offered after you were Hollywood's it guy, man.
Yeah.
You had Usual Suspects, Pool Hall Junkie. I mean, you were it. Was there a role you were offered that you turned down that you wish that you actually, in retrospect, you would have done?
Well, there's two roles, very big roles, that I turned down. One I do not regret at all because the right person played it, and I wasn't able to play it at the time. I couldn't do it. Physically, I couldn't do it back then. I got ill, and I was not, I just couldn't do it. I had throat cancer, and that's what happened 30 years ago. And that was Tony Soprano.
You were offered the role
Yes.
of Tony Soprano.
I read that. Yeah.
Yes, that is
Him
true.
and Leota. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no,
my
Leota,
gosh.
actually, Ray Liotta got offered first
Okay.
before me. And then I think it was me. I think I was second. I'm not sure. It was me or Joe Mantegna or one of us. And I turned it down. And
Gandolfini was great in that role.
I don't regret that at all because, first of all, I couldn't do it. I did love the script. I thought the script was great, but I couldn't do it at the time. I don't know if saying that I would have did it. I don't know. HBO was very new at the time. It was 1996. I was making movies. I don't know, but I remember loving the script so much and feeling bad that, gee, I really can't do this if I wanted to. But
and that was the thing at that time where movie stars, television was still thought as being like a step down, right?
I see. Right. But the role that I turned down, that eats me every day, and only not because of my career. My career is great. It's because I love the movie so much, and that's Donnie Brasco.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that was the role of Sonny Black. But
Sonny Black.
Yeah, but
Michael Madsen.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Michael and I had the same agent, and when I turned it down, then he took it. And don't get me wrong, Michael was.
No, you would have been better in that role.
No, Michael was great.
I like Michael Madsen, but you would have been better in that role.
Michael was just phenomenal in it, and it's got nothing to do with him. It's just that I love the movie so much.
You would have knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I just love the movie. I just think
I like Madsen too. I'm a Madsen fan
it's
as
one
well.
of Al's best movies.
Yeah.
And his performance as this kind of ne'er-do-well actor, the gangster, was brilliant. And I just love his performance in it, and I wish I was part of it. But, hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I have a little
great ensemble.
Yeah.
I have a back to the Bronx Tale question. So there was the juxtaposition between your father and Sonny, right? What was some of the best? I like to get advice from OGs such as yourself, and I want to hear the OGs advice. The best advice you got from your father and from Sonny, and maybe some of the things that you learned from lessons you learned that maybe not the best advice or not the best examples. That you got from both of them.
I think the best advice. It's almost more than advice, Mickey, is because my father always said, always do the right thing. I'll never forget that. He said, always do the right thing. If you don't do the right thing, it's going to come back and haunt you. It will come back and bite you in the ass. So try to do the right thing. Be honest with people. Do the right thing. A simple thing like that. Do the right thing. And he lived his life like that. My father was a very honest, to the point he would hurt himself. He was so fucking honest.
Right.
I mean, I was trying to sell my car, and I was on the road with the band. I remember I had this cream puff of a Cadillac, and I said, Dad, while I'm away, people are going to come and look at it. And he said, people come, they don't want it. I said, how could this be? The car's a cream puff, Dad, It wasn't a new car. I was like 4 years old, but beautiful. Mm-hmm. So then I came home off the road, and I was with him, and people would come, and he would go, yeah, no. And he would take over and talk while I'd be watching, and he'd go, okay, now there's a few squeaks over here. Now, when you start it on a cold night, it doesn't start right away, but it starts.
I go, sell this thing, Pop. Trying to sell this
The engine only floods once every 4 times.
I'm trying to sell this fucking car. What are you doing? He said, well, you don't want him coming back saying you didn't do the right thing.
I was
home.
Sell the car.
Yeah,
I was home for a week, sold the car. So, but that was my father. I think that was the best advice I got from him. I think the best advice that I ever got from the wise guy, Sonny, which that wasn't his real name, but I always said it.
But your real name is Calogero.
My real name is Calogero. Calogero Lorenzo Palminteri.
Now, did they call you C, or were you Chaz
C.
always? They called you C?
C, and then Chaz came when I was like in my 11, 12. But mostly C. I still have friends call me C to this day. I think the best advice I got from him was a few things he always said. He said, one of the things he always said, he said, never answer the door after 1 o'clock in the morning. It can only be bad news.
That's fair.
And he said, no one's ever going to knock on your door and tell you good news after 1 o'clock. Don't answer the fucking door. And that saved my ass a bunch of times.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was at my own apartment. I was living in L.A., and 1 o'clock I heard bam, 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 banging on the door. And I started walking towards the door. I was living in L.A., and I went, and I just got quiet like that. And I hear bam, bam, bam. It was the woman next door. She was fighting with her boyfriend. They were screaming at each other. And I just said, and then she banged on the other people's doors, and they got out. He got into a fist fight with a guy. And I just went, fuck it. I went right back to bed. I went right back to bed. And I never forgot that.
Not my chair. Not my problem.
That's great.
It's not my problem. I'm not in the middle between a guy and his girl. That's the worst thing to do.
Ooh.
And now the wise
wait.
guy. So I guess we'll refer to him as Sonny for this.
Yes.
But he also throughout the movie would often say nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Yes.
And then at the end, you were telling me, you're like, people do care.
Yes.
And so would that maybe be one of the advices that you wouldn't totally agree with him on, or that? Is maybe
Well, when he meant nobody cares, but
Are you talking about Mickey Mantle paying your rent and
he says,
paying your
why?
rent?
He says, worry about your family and the people that are close to you because nobody cares.
Well,
And he's right.
Yeah.
He's right about
Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth in that. There's a lot of truth.
lot of truth.
Well,
there.
Yeah.
listen, I dabble in armchair philosophy. I love Jordan
Yeah.
Peterson and those guys, and that nihilism is a very powerful thing. But at the end, if you watch closely, even though he says nobody cares, he is the guy that tells C to get out the car. He cares deeply.
Yes.
So as much as he says, nobody cares, really what he's saying is, keep your circle tight. What do you care? You're crying about
Right.
Bill Mazeroski. You never even met the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, people get so upset over sports, and believe me, I'm a diehard Yankee fan.
How about the Giants going to the playoffs, boys?
Hey,
How about the Giants going?
hey.
Shout out
Yes.
to the New York Football Giants head coach Brian Dable,
But
future coach of the year.
The problem is, you could care, and when the Yankees lose, I'm devastated, but I'm okay. I go, all right,
Yeah.
relax now. Let's
I'm not gonna let that low bring you too
Let's
low.
get back to real life here, right there. So there's a lot of things I learned from the wise guys. One is always one of the big ones is it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
No doubt about it.
Love that one.
Yeah.
I learned that one the hard way a little bit too.
Yeah.
So I was fighting CM Punk in Cleveland. Excuse me. And LeBron James was a big guy in Cleveland. Always do that powder clap.
Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to go on the scale when I weighed in and do the powder clap like LeBron, but I asked first if it was okay.
Yeah.
And
Right? And they were like, no, someone could slip. But stupid reasons. You know what I mean? It was BS, but it would have went big. It would have been
Huge.
fun if I did it. I
Huge.
should have just done it. I should have put a little powder in my hands and done the little LeBron clap in
Huge.
Cleveland.
You
You
could
know?
have said, I didn't realize it. I
Yeah,
didn't
of
know.
course,
I'm
of
sorry.
course.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you would have did it already.
Exactly. Yeah, it would have been no problem.
No
It would have been
problem.
no problem whatsoever. But yeah,
No
I learned right there. I was
Absolutely.
like, yep.
Yeah.
Ask for,
It's always a problem when you ask.
of course.
People always have a problem when you
Sure.
ask. It's funny, people are strange. You know what? If we all could just, who said that? Rodney King, I think. If we could all just get along.
Can we
a
all
little
just
better.
get along?
Can we all get along
Yeah.
a little better? You know what I mean? Because life is, you think about your life, Mickey, my life. If my grandfather, Cologio, doesn't come here and decide to come to America, I'm not here.
Yeah, Stephen Michael Heron, my great grandfather from County Galway.
I'm not here. I'm not here. Bronx Tale never happens. Everything is so delicate in life. Everything is so delicate. I have a friend of mine, my friend Mikey. Okay, my friend Mikey, I was 18 years old. Okay, I'm 18 years old. I just got my license. My father just drove me back for passing my test. I got my license. He says, take the car. Go ahead. You can go. I was like, holy shit. I get in my car. I'm 18. I'm 17. I'm 18. I'm in the Bronx, right? My neighborhood. I'm driving. I see my friend Mikey on the corner. I go, yo, Mikey. He goes, hey, see, what's up? He goes, what are you doing? You're driving. I go, yeah, I just got my license. He goes, come on, let's go for a ride. I go, all right, come on. He gets in the car. We're driving. He goes, make a right. Let's go on Pelham Parkway. That's where all the Jewish girls were. We would drive up there, And I make a right. I'm going down, and there's this big light right on Southern Boulevard, right where the Bronx Zoo is. And I'm driving over there, and all of a sudden, I was so excited, I didn't see it turn red. And he screams in my ear, red light, red light. I went, oh, bird. I hit it. I went past the light, put it in reverse, and backed out. Right? I'm by the light now. I backed out. 3 girls are walking by. They got balloon. They're going to the zoo. She looks in the car and sees Mikey. He looks at her. They look at each other, and he goes, Mikey. She goes, Mikey, Mike Herrero. And he goes, I don't want to say her name because anyway. So he says her name, and she writes on he goes, oh my God, I'm not saying, who the fuck is that? She writes her name on her eye. She has an eyebrow pencil, and she writes it on a matchbook cover and throws it in the window as I'm pulling out. Okay? I have to tell you the story. I drive away. I go, who the fuck was that? He goes, oh, I was in school with her. I was in the 8th grade. I was in the 1st grade, kindergarten. I go, how the fuck do you, how did you remember each other? He goes, I don't know. She saw me, and she recognized me. I recognize her. He calls her up. They get married.
Nah.
A few years go by, they get married. They have 3 kids. Okay? 3 kids. Finally, years went on. Then they got divorced. And he always tells me, that fucking red light, you gotta stop. And I think about it. It was that fucking red light. When he was going through the divorce, he's going, you and that fucking red light. I go, Mikey, it's 30 years later. What do you want from me? But
Hey, he yelled red. He yelled red light.
Hey, it's on him.
It's on Mikey.
It's on
I
Mikey.
know, but think about it. If I don't get a license at that moment, if my father don't drop me off on that moment, if I don't see Mikey on that corner, if we
Butterfly
don't,
effect,
if
yeah.
we don't make a right on,
3 human beings don't exist.
if we don't make a right on that street, if she's not walking there, if the light's red, if the light's green, we go right by.
Yeah.
His life's different. Her life's different.
Yeah.
Those 3 human beings are not here. How the fuck is that possible?
That's
Crazy.
How is that possible?
Kismet.
I am stunned by that.
Huh.
Stunned by it. Think about it.
Unless Mikey's lying to you and he was stalking that girl the whole time, telling you to
He
make
knew-
this
he
right,
knew
make
what
that
it was,
left.
yeah.
Mikey
No.
wanted, yeah. Mikey's like, you know what I want to do this Friday?
Yeah.
What's that? I want to see Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just fascinating how. That's why I always tell people, the best advice I could ever give somebody. They always ask me, they say, what's great advice, Chaz, about success? And I would go, show up.
Mm-hmm.
Show up. Showing up is 85% part of being successful. Okay, let me give you an example. I called you up. I called you guys up. I said, hey, you said, Chaz, I got a friend, my friend Mickey Gall. We he goes, he's a UFC fighter. And I said, I said, you know what? I love UFC. Me and my son, we love it. And I saw you perform, and I said, wow, okay. I said, yeah, you know what? Yeah. You know what, Gerard, let's do it. Both of you. Now, he can go, you know what? It's far. I got to go there. I don't feel like going. But he goes. You go. And we become even more friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's what life is. Yeah. Show up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we got to go. You came down to my gym with
Yeah.
Dante, your son.
Oh, my son, forget it. My son is.
Son's a talented kid, good-looking kid, too.
He's awesome.
My son loves you guys so much. He goes, oh man, those guys were so great. Because he does the jujitsu, Gracie jujitsu, and he loves it, and he's learning so much from you guys. And he worked out at the place in Jersey,
Gracie, New Jersey.
Gracie, New Jersey, and he loved it there. And the professor, he met
David Adib,
David Adib, and he just raved about it. And
dude, he did so well, and not blowing smoke at all. Like the things that are important to me, like being kind.
Yes.
And another thing, being tough.
Being a little competitive.
Yeah.
Dante was tough. Dante is a gamer. Dante
Oh, he's a
came
gamer.
in there. He wanted to roll.
He was a gamer.
He
Bigger than I
he never
thought he'd
rolled
be.
much
Yeah.
before, but he was all into it, excited. He's a great kid.
Yeah,
great
no, thank
kid.
you.
Yeah, tremendous. And we're gonna take care of him. He could do anything he wants in the jiu-jitsu world.
my son is a gamer, and like you said, he's a good man.
That's the thing. Like he's obviously very kind. I know a lot of tough guys aren't that
Yeah.
kind. I don't want anything to do with them. But I like a kind person who's also tough. You know what I mean? And that was Dante.
That's
and
my
he had the
son.
willingness to learn. He was amazing.
And that's
Yeah.
my daughter Gabriella. If you got to meet her,
Oh,
when you meet her?
Michigan, tough loss.
Michigan, tough loss on
Tough
Michigan.
loss.
Yeah, we both were watching the game. But she's musical theater, theater major, musical at Michigan. She's brilliant and great. And so my kids are great kids. They're good kids because why? Because my wife and I try to do the right thing and make them see that. People don't realize, you guys don't have children, but when you do, people go, what advice could you give me to raise a good kid? And I always go, be a good example. Your kid watches everything you do, everything. If you're mean to your wife, they'll be mean to their wife. If your wife's mean to you, that girl will be mean. That girl will grow up
Do you
just like
think
that.
having kids made you a better person then?
Yeah.
Because you had to be more cognizant of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of forces you to grow up too. I've heard people say you're not like a real man until you've had kids.
Well, you're not. I mean, Well, I mean, could you be a real man without children? Of course you can. You could do other things with other people's kids. You could be a good person. But
Right.
when you have your own kids, it's like that child is there. You gotta, when that little baby's got a mouth open, you gotta feed him. I mean, what kind of man? You know, what they say in The Godfather? Man who doesn't take care of his family is not a man.
No man at all.
You got a family. You got a wife. You got children. Oh, okay. You got to take care of this fucking family. That's a responsibility that you have to do, and that's it. Period. End of story.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about
And
that.
Dante's 22?
27.
27. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so let's do a little math here. That you wait till you're 39 to have your big break. Now, what is that, 92? Bronx Tale comes out?
Bronx Tale. No, I hit my big break in 89.
89.
89, 90. 90 is when I
so then-
sold the play. Yeah.
Dante's born in what, 96?
Yeah, 95? Yes.
So now you waited all that time to be a Hollywood actor? You gave yourself 5 years of LA nightlife before you had a kid, man?
Yeah.
Was that enough, or you should have
No,
waited longer?
but look, I was in a rock band in the late 60s and 70s. Do I have to say any more?
Say no more, sir.
Do I
Say
have
no
to
more.
say, I was in the height of flower, love, and orgies. I mean, this was like fucking crazy.
Oh, that's great.
This was like,
Yeah.
We
That-
need
you
we
so
need
jokes.
pictures of long hair Chaz
Oh,
Palminteri right now. We need flower child
I've been
Chaz
looking. I'm
P.
just gonna keep
I-
looking.
Oh, you
but
got to
I've been
send it
looking.
to
I
our
have it,
producers.
I have it.
We got to get the
Yeah.
pictures.
Oh, I have it. I'll send it to you.
man.
Yeah, please.
I'll send it to you.
Aquarius.
No, I mean, I did enough by the time, and then when I made it, I ran around. And then even when I hit it, I didn't meet my wife. I wasn't famous when I met my wife. I was,
Wonderful lady, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Gianna was
My
great.
wife is
Such
great.
a great host. So
I was
sweet.
I was wealthy because I made big deals with Bronx Tale and everything, but I wasn't famous yet because I didn't do Bronx Tale because I had to wait a couple of years for Bob to be available, and I met her during that time.
Gotcha.
But I ran around enough in my life. Look,
Yeah.
you guys are handsome. You're both young, and it's great. You have a great time, and it's great. But here's the deal. There's a difference, and I'm writing a play about this, so maybe I'll quote my play a little bit. There's a difference between pleasure and happiness. Pleasure is what you guys are having right now, and that's great. And I had a lot of pleasure. But then there's happiness. Happiness comes with time. You build up. Pleasure is immediate gratification. Happiness comes as you get older and you realize I have my children, I have my family. It's a different thing. There's a time when a man has to grow the fuck up. But we're men. We don't grow up.
Chaz,
We don't grow up. We don't. We have to fight it. Look, do I get tempted? Of course I do. I'd be a fucking lie if I told you no. Anybody, Bill Burr always Bill Burr, who to me is like a genius. He's like the Richard Pryor of this generation. He always says, he says, what do I know? He goes, I can't even handle Facebook. He says,
the temptations of Facebook.
he goes, I mean, how hard it must be for when people are famous and you got gorgeous supermodels coming
That's a
onto
great
you.
bit. That's a bit about Arnold Schwarzenegger and
but he's
Tiger
right,
Woods.
but he's
It's a
right.
great bit.
It's fucking hard, and it's because men look at aesthetics. When they see beautiful women, it's just like you have to hold it in because what you want is quick pleasure. Okay, women are attracted to power. Different. You'll always see. I shouldn't say this. I don't want to get in trouble here. But you'll always see a handsome, a beautiful woman with a guy who's not that great. You go, how the fuck is she with this guy?
Yep.
He's a powerful guy, and women are attracted to that.
Yeah. He may be 5'3", but his wallet's
Yeah.
6'5".
See, here's the difference between a man and a woman. Here's a classic difference. Okay, you go to a bar, a woman's at a bar, gorgeous woman. She meets this handsome guy. She is blown away by him, so attracted to him. But after about 20 minutes, she realizes that he's an asshole. She goes, you know what? Fuck this guy. She will not go out with him. She won't sleep with him, nothing. Now, cut to, a guy goes to a bar. Sees a gorgeous woman sitting at the bar. She is the worst. She's a bitch. She's nasty to everybody. He's still got to fuck her.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
He'll put up with it.
He'll put up with the abuse
to the end of the night.
for the end of the night.
Gotta see it
That's the
through, my guy.
difference.
Yeah.
He's got to see it through because he cannot control himself.
You're not wrong.
He
You're not
can't-
wrong.
He can't.
Nah,
He can't control
Now,
himself.
what I want to know is if the lesbian girls, do they just sit there waiting for each other to be terrible, or do they walk away quickly?
No, it's the same thing. It's an attraction. It's an attraction.
Yeah, it's the truth though.
Yeah.
You know what? It's hey, I got an old friend used to say, man, everybody hangs out at the finish line.
Yeah.
Women hang out at the finish line. Friends, quote unquote, hang out at the finish
Yeah.
line. They all, very few want to take the drive. They all hang out there at the end, you know. And it's the unfortunate truth, man. It's the unfortunate truth. And I mean,
No, you're right.
that's but at the same time, I mean, I talked to Mick about this. I'm a little older than Mick. You know, I had a tough time with when me and my ex broke up because I didn't want to go back to the. I missed the intimacy.
Right.
You know, it's you get to a point where like you know how to play the game.
Right.
You know, I'm going to go to a bar. I'm going to say this. I'm going to make them laugh. Blah blah blah, and then whatever, shoot your shot, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But there's something about coming home from the road and having someone genuinely miss you, or like,
Right.
hey, someone in this world actually cares if I died out there. And
right,
there's
exactly.
something about that you know you grow accustomed to it, and you do miss it when it's gone.
It's the Peter Pan syndrome. Men have the Peter Pan syndrome. They don't want to grow up. They don't want the responsibility. That's why having a kid, it makes you gotta like straighten out.
How old were you when you had Dante?
I had Dante at 43.
It's a beautiful thing about men. 'Cause we can
Oh, yeah,
wait
we-
a little
we
bit.
can wait
you
a
know what I
little
mean?
bit,
We
yeah.
can take our time.
I was
Yeah.
43 when I had Dante. Yeah.
Well, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan told me about the Quran, you know, you can half your age plus 7 for men is the
That's the
Islamic
ideal-
way.
that's
The
the
ideal
ideal
age for your partner is half your age plus 7 in the Quran.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Half and try to work it out. It's almost always perfect.
Half your age plus 7.
Mine
Work
would be
it out.
22.
Huh?
Mine would be 22.
Probably works for you. It works for you.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
about you, G?
Half my age plus 7, so that would be
Good luck dividing 37. But
yeah, right. Yeah.
good thing we learned PEMDAS
Yeah,
not
right.
in school, right?
PEMDAS, yeah. So it would be, what would it be, 18 plus 20, 25? I'd be all right with that.
Be all right with
I
that?
think so. I'd sign off on that.
Yeah.
I don't think that'd be so bad. 25, 26,
Well, how old are you now?
37.
37. Oh, you're 37.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, just turned 37.
Wow.
Yeah.
One thing actually that I really like about your guys' relationship, you know, is I see a lot of like Gerard's aspirations are similar to yours, where
Right.
he has a lot of great ideas, very talented guy, obviously, and he has a lot of like stuff where he wants to like create and, you know, put himself in direct, like, you know,
Right.
put his talent to work, and I think like a lot of the stuff Chaz is saying.
Oh, he's a
here is,
huge
like,
influence on me, man. I mean, you know,
I bet.
huge influence, whether you know it or not, massive influence on me. Because, you know, if you sit there and you wait for somebody to bless you with the role of a lifetime, it's not going to happen.
It's not
man.
going to
So,
happen.
You know, I write a bunch of scripts, and, you know, then we try to find the money to do them, and you
Sure.
that's that, and it starts small with sketches because that's the money that you can do. But then you know, I don't think in this day and age that if you were waiting for somebody to come and
It never happened.
it's a lottery ticket.
Yeah,
Go
so
out and
you're-
do
yeah,
it.
It never
exactly.
happened.
If you got a role you think that you'll
Yeah.
nail, write it,
Yeah.
brother.
If
Write
I
it.
didn't write Bronx Tale, I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, but that's the hard
I
thing.
don't
It's
know.
like you said,
I don't
every
know.
Jamoke has a story.
Every Jamoke.
But
How many
they gotta-
times
they
I
gotta
hear that,
write it.
oh, that was my story. That happened to me. Well,
Yeah.
no,
you-
it didn't. Maybe something similar, but
You
that
wrote
didn't
it.
happen to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to do something with your son and your daughter? They're both in the industry. Do you have an
Yeah.
idea for a project with them?
Well, I was in. I'm doing a TV series now called Gravesend with Willem DeMeo.
Where I was born, Mick, West Second
Yeah,
Avenue. P.
yeah. And my
Yeah,
son
right.
was in that, and my daughter. Actually, my daughter had she was doing it for a year before me. She actually got me the job.
Another
And-
terrific ensemble cast,
Yeah,
by the way. Yeah.
great cast and wonderful show. Comes out this month, January, and so we did a couple of things together, and that was fun to work with them. You know, I didn't work with my daughter; I worked with my son. So, but you know what?
Were you giving him tips?
I
Did you
gotta
let him do
check
his own
this
thing?
out.
How was it
You know,
going?
they're so good and they're so talented, and they're going to be good. They're going to be very successful. I'm not worried about either one of them. Really, I'm really not.
Yeah, no, I can see it in Dante. He's
Yeah.
got a lot of talent.
A lot of
Very,
talent.
very
And,
charismatic.
But it's more than talent, Mickey. They have drive.
yes.
They want to be great. They
Gotta
want
have
to
the
be.
fire and the ambition.
Do,
Yeah,
do
Follow
you
along
still
with
have
it.
the drive now? I mean, what have
Yes.
you not done? What you're out there doing your one man show, man. You've done it. How many shows have you done? You had to do this 500, 600, 700 shows at this point.
This will be January 29th at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island. Will be my 1014th.
1,014.
Holy shit.
Do you still get up for them? They
Every
still
time.
every time they get
Every
you.
time.
Wow.
That's
Actually,
phenomenal.
I'm filming it on the 14th. You guys got to come.
Oh, 100.
You
We're
said you're
there.
filming it where?
We're there.
At the Paramount Theater, January
the
29th.
29th?
Yeah,
All
if
right,
anybody
okay.
wants to come and see, I'll be doing it all year, all over. And if anybody wants to see it, go to ChazPalminteri.net, and you'll see my schedule for the whole year. Or you can go
Yeah,
to
let's put a link in the podcast.
They already
for that.
know. We got good producers
ChazPalminteri.net
here.
or Chaz Palminteri on my Instagram account, and I always talk about my shows and of course my podcast, which you guys are on. You're on
Yeah.
this week.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
And my podcast has been great. I had great guests, Billy Joel.
Love the Chaz Palminteri show.
Yeah,
Love
so
That's great.
it's really
Yeah.
great. I
it.
talk
Well,
about
as
it.
great as I loved Billy Joel and obviously Mickey and myself, I love the Sunny Blue Eyes, man. I like Sandy
Yeah.
Blue Eyes. I
Oh,
love
Sandy, yeah.
Sandy
Chuck
Blue
Zito.
Eyes, Chuck Zito.
Chuck Zito.
A lot of great
It's
stuff.
beautiful, man.
The old story about Chuck Zito. Chuck Zito put out more lights than Con Edison on guys.
Chuck Zito's a real one. That's a tough guy.
Oh,
right
you got-
there.
Chuck Zito's legit.
That's a tough guy.
And you got
Yeah.
Tara and you got Miss Narducci there. You got some real talent.
Tara
going on.
kind of Strassi, yes, and Catherine Narducci.
Yep.
Was her first role Bronx Tale?
It was her first role.
That was her first role,
Really?
right?
Yeah.
Did you guys did an open call?
We did an open call for kids, and she brought her son there, and then she saw they were auditioning women, so she asked if she could audition. She auditioned, and she beat everybody.
Wow.
She was
Wow,
great.
tremendous.
Obviously, she's had a great career.
So
Because
she's great. I
she's
loved her in
terrific.
Sopranos.
She's that talented.
Loved her in
She's
very
Irishman.
talented.
She's great.
In Godfather Harlem as well. Yeah,
Godfather.
She's great.
She's just great. She's
Yeah.
a natural.
Yeah.
People are born natural.
sweet person,
She's natural.
too,
Very
yeah.
sweet, too.
Now we talked about roles you were offered. Is there a role that you went up for that you really wanted that you thought, man, this is going to be great, and it went to somebody else?
Well, there's I rewrite scripts a lot, and I remember usually there's only 3 scripts that I read in my lifetime that when I read them, I went, oh shit, man, I'd like to be in this movie. This movie's going to be great. Well, one role I really wanted. I got a script, and it was called Shawshank Redemption, and there was the part
A
of
little
Red,
movie called Shawshank
Just a
Redemption.
little guy.
and there was the part of Red, which is played by Morgan Freeman.
Well, in the book, he's a white Irish guy.
He's a white Irish guy. That's
Yeah.
correct. And I said, gee, I'd love to play this. Maybe I could read for it. But then I heard Morgan Freeman was doing it, and obviously they made the right choice because Morgan
Oh, he was amazing.
was amazing.
He was incredible.
Yeah.
I can't picture anybody else doing it.
Yeah.
But that was one I always go, wow, I wish I could have been in that one. Saving Private Ryan was another script that I read that I loved. I just wanted to be in it doing
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And then the most recent was Green Book.
Oh yeah.
When I read that,
Very good.
I brought it back to Nick Vallalongo, and I said, I have no notes. It's brilliant. It's no notes. It's great.
Yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah, it
I
was a
really
great
enjoyed
movie.
that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Saving Private Ryan, too. I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
about, the quintessential war movie.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, those were 3 scripts. When I read them, I just said, wow. I remember being really taken back by it. When I read it, I was like it was so brilliant. I was stunned when I read it.
Did you ever read a script and you're like, this is trash, and it turned out to be a good movie?
No.
Not a single one?
No.
I heard people, when the script for Dumb and Dumber was going around, they were like, this is the worst movie I've ever read in my life. Yeah, they were like, there's no way anybody's going to do this movie.
Yeah, but then you hire the right, you hire Jim Carrey and you hire Jeff Daniels, 2 wonderful actors.
And we got a movie.
And you got a movie. But I'm sure that, I never saw it, but I'm sure the script had something to it. I don't know. I never saw it.
The
but,
Farrelly brothers, they had a great run there.
You don't know, who was offered, who was offered Shawshank Redemption? He turned it down? Tom Cruise.
Really?
Yeah. Tom Cruise turned down Shawshank Redemption because he didn't want to direct with he didn't want to act with a first-time director. This is the story I heard. And he said no, and Frank DeBonk, who directed it brilliantly, said, I'm directing it, and I don't give a shit. So, but you know what? You look at Tim Robbins, you do go, is there anybody else but him who could play this part?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really.
And why do you think some actors translate into phenomenal directors and other actors they don't seem to do as well? Like you look at you talk about Tim Robbins, I immediately go to Mystic River, and that was Sean Penn, if I remember correctly, right? And I mean, that movie's just like, I mean, that's a brilliant, sad, but brilliant movie.
Yeah.
There's some people that they seem they jump in and they're great, and other directors you're like, I don't know.
You know, it matters. Some directors are just they see the movie, they see it in their head. Like Marty Scorsese, he's just a great storyteller. You know, he just sees the movie.
One of my favorites.
You know, Woody Allen sees the movie. Alfred Hitchcock never looked in the camera.
Really?
Never. Huh. He storyboarded, and he would tell what's the frame. Don't forget, they didn't have video playback.
Actual film. Yeah.
They didn't have video playback back then.
Actual cutting film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had actual cutting film up to Bronx Tale.
No, you had to do that digital.
It was just coming in. The
Really?
the units were just coming in. We cut Bronx Tale on the flatbed and on the computer, both. What was the name of the?
Were you able to watch the dailies on?
Yes.
Oh, you were.
Yes,
I heard Tarantino does his on film.
Yes.
Really?
Still, yeah.
No, but he's got to use the computer.
Right.
Because it's so much faster.
I would love
you want
to see
all the
Chaz
takes.
Palminteri in a Quentin Tarantino
Could you
role.
imagine?
Oh man, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I read actually for him for what was the movie they did? Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir
Don't
Dogs.
tell me you lost out to Madsen again.
I probably did.
Come on, Madsen. What are we doing here?
No, I didn't lose out to him. Yes, well, I did. I think he got that part, and I didn't. But
He should have at least given you
walking back and
Species
forth with the knife
with Natasha Henstridge walking around.
I don't know. I don't remember if that was the part, but I remember I did read. I did read for it.
Ain't right.
Hey, this thing on.
No, he was great. Come on,
He was, of
Oh,
course.
now that's a
Of course.
role.
No, I'm a huge Madsen fan. I love Madsen.
I could definitely see you doing Sonny Black better, but Madsen, you got to give credit where it's due.
No,
Reservoir
yeah.
Dogs.
Yeah,
It was pretty good.
Exactly. Madsen's great. I mean, just great. You know.
What do you think of Tarantino and Scorsese coming out and saying they're not making movies anymore today? That these Marvel films are not movies. It's bad.
They're right. I mean, they're right. I mean, it's really could certain movies get made today? Could The Godfather get made today? Probably not.
No.
You know.
It would be a series, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of great movies couldn't be made today. You know, so
Casablanca's probably not getting made today.
Oh no, that's not getting made.
That's not getting made.
You know, but look at all these great movies that just never got made. I mean, you know, it's just the way it is. Your movies should be seen on a big screen with a lot of people.
Prestige.
Yeah, you know, I mean, how could you not see Goodfellas on a big screen? You know, I mean, it's a whole different thing. Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
Braveheart. You want to see that on a big screen, man.
Right.
You know, I mean, come on. Not saying, not to put down television at all. It's just
Mickey's a successful UFC fighter. He's got very big screens.
big screen.
Big screens.
You have big screens at home, Mickey?
Pretty big.
You don't think about it. Screens today are huge.
Big screens.
Like if you go over somebody's house and they got like a regular television.
Oh,
set,
back in the day, yeah,
it's
the
like,
little
what
look
the
like
hell
a
is
mic.
Yeah.
Look like a microwave.
Absolutely. Some people got projectors. It's the whole wall is the
Yeah.
television now.
Yeah.
That's
like, what
the
the
good
hell
stuff.
is this shit?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, it's different.
But you've never really done any fantasy, right? You've never done like a Lord of the Rings or
No, I'd love to.
You'd love to do a fantasy thing.
Oh,
Is that what's left? Is that we've got you're the next Gandalf, man. We gotta
I wanna do that, but I've always wanted to play a priest.
now use can't pass.
No, I could never say. I could never say that line again. You know how many
You
times-
probably heard that so much. And
Oh.
I remember you told me on your podcast that was just kind of like a line you just wrote, like you knew like the
Well, I wrote it because the guy said it.
okay, so you didn't know it was
He
going to
really
be this
said it.
iconic line.
No.
That was I've had friends that have saw that we've been hanging out together, sending me now you can't leave,
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, everybody,
I
that
was-
line is so iconic.
I was 18 years old, sitting at the bar, and these guys came in. Okay, they were called they weren't the Hells Angels; they were the Aliens at the time. That was the name of the gang, and they did this thing. and they put in the movie.
They were Satan's
shake it.
messengers.
Satan messengers.
And they
in
shook
the movie they shake it, but in real life they didn't do that. What they did was they just looked at Sonny, held up the bombs, and they just turned them upside down, and they just drenched the bar on the floor. They just turned the beers upside down, and Sonny asked them to leave.
And before they were, Sonny allowed them to come in because they were actually acting like
They were
gentlemen.
actually like gentlemen, but it was a setup.
But they were faking.
It was a setup.
Yeah.
And once they did that, he said, "Look,
Yeah.
you got to leave. I spoke to you like a gentleman. I'm disappointed, but you got to go." And the guy just looked at him and said, "Fuck you. You think we'll leave?" And he said something like, "Look, you see these colors? Like my colors, you're not doing shit to us."
Yeah.
And he said, "This is our place now. Fuck you. You make us leave." And
Your terms are acceptable.
and he just like kind of went. And I'm sitting there at the end of the bar, and I'm like this, just like I described it and he just walked over, and shut the door and bolted the door, and he walked back and he said, "Now you just can't leave."
Now that's the story. The Brooklyn people are like, "No way, Chaz took that from Brooklyn," because there's a story in Garrettson Beach.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So, but the these bikers came in and apparently there's a big hole somewhere in Garrettson Beach.
Yeah.
I don't know that story. I know this story.
Yeah,
So then he
Well,
locks the door.
Garrison Beach happened 1 year.
Yeah.
What, 70s, 80s?
Maybe, probably, yeah.
This is the 60s.
That's very true. That's very true.
Okay?
Yeah.
So tell Garrison Beach they're fucking wrong.
On the next
know
episode
now.
of Gravesend, hey, fuck Garrettson
No,
Beach.
look, maybe something similar happened there. It's very possible. There's some tough guys out there.
Yeah.
Maybe the guys walked in, got smart. They said, "No, you're fucking not, and we're going to kick your ass." It's possible.
Sure.
That happened.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's be honest. Those guys were probably, they were drug dealers too, and they were they were testing the waters. Where can we flex? Where can't we flex?
Yeah.
Sometimes you flex on the wrong people.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Fuck around and find out.
Sometimes you just fuck with the wrong people.
You never know, right? When it's your day, you have no idea.
No idea. You could be a real tough guy. You know how it is in the ring, Mick. You're in the ring. You're hitting guys. You're knocking guys out, and then one day you hit a guy and nothing happens.
It happens in my dreams. Anytime I get in a fight in my dreams when I'm sleeping, I hit someone and nothing happens, and I'm like, "What?"
That's what it feels like when you tell a joke. You expect a big pop, and the crowd is going to be like, "What the hell?"
You're like, "What? I thought I had some power."
What's going on here?
What the hell?
Yeah, let's try this again.
That's when you hit a guy and you just say, and nothing happens. You hit him again, nothing happens. You start going, "All right, is somebody going to break this fight up here?"
Hey, dude, so wait, hold on, wait. So you have dreams where you hit people and
yeah,
I have dreams
my dad has the same
where I
dreams.
bomb. I have dreams where I bomb atomically on stage.
No, you know what I have dreams? I have dreams where I'm on Broadway and I don't know my lines.
You don't know lines.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing.
All right, I've had a lot where I'm in school and I have a test or the semester's over and I've done none of the work, haven't gone to class once or something like that. So you guys have those you still have school
sure.
I
didn't know my lines, and I had a dream where they said, "The guy's sick, Chaz, you're on," and I'm like, I don't know my lines. I don't know if I could do this. I don't know my lines. I always have that. It's an actor's nightmare.
So so you started acting in the 70s, you said?
Yeah.
What got you into that?
I always wanted to be an actor, always.
Okay.
Since I was 10.
Okay.
I wanted to write, I wanted to act.
Because I wondered after, how Bronx Tale ends, you're what, 17, 18?
Yeah,
when
18,
the movie ends?
18, yeah.
So then right from there, so you had already been studying acting for a while and working on that at that point?
I 17, 18, no, not yet.
Okay, you hadn't started yet?
Right around 18, that's when I started.
Okay.
That's when I left the neighborhood, we moved out of the neighborhood. My father said, "We're out of here."
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I went to the college and I was a drama major.
Where'd you go to school?
Bronx Community.
Okay.
Community College. And then I left there and I went to Manhattan and started studying down there with Michael Sherloff at the Corner Loft Theater.
These suits think that Bronx Tale is a sad movie. Little do they know that C goes on to be a movie star.
Yeah, no.
It's
kind of an interesting full circle. It's like then you don't see that next 20 years of Chaz's life until he's there.
Yeah.
And now you're the star. You're
People
Sonny,
go, well, how did this happen? I go, but even guys that I knew back then, they always said we knew. They used to talk about all these things, Chaz, that you were going to make it. Yeah, I always said I was going to make it. Yeah.
Did they come out of the woodwork after 15 years, and they're like, "Hey, Chaz, remember me?
Yeah, I still.
Hey, can I
but
borrow a
I'm
little
nice.
money?
But I'm nice to them.
Yeah.
I'm nice to my
Remember that
friends.
time I gave you $20? Well, after 15
You know,
years, the vig is."
I don't know if I told you this story. What I did was, I grew up in the street. I mean, I went to college, but I'm still by
You were
heart, but
educated
I'm
by
a
the
street
streets
guy.
and by the
I was educated. Well, Sonny used to say that I'm going to I wanted to get a college education and I wanted to get street smart education. So when I knew, I made a deal with A Bronx Tale. When I made the deal with the studio, so I was going to get a lot of money, like almost $2 million. I was going to be paid, and a little under that, but right around there.
In 80, 85, 86?
88.
That's Scott Old.
That's got all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's
That's
big
all
show.
right, bro.
Yeah. So.
Your Cadillac ain't creaking after
So
that.
I knew the friends that I grew up with. So I said, I'm going to get hit on. So what I did was, they knew I was struggling out in L.A. They didn't really know I was doing the they knew I was doing the show, but they didn't know. They just thought I was still struggling. So I called up these 7 guys who I was still friends to today. And I said, listen, I need about $10,000. Could you lend me $10,000? Knowing that there's no way they could give me 10 grand. I said, if I just, I'm gonna come into some money. I'll give you the 10 grand. Chaz, I'm married. I got kids. I love you. I'll do anything for you, but I can't. Okay. I go through all 7 guys. Each one says the same thing, and I knew it. They don't have it. One was a garbage man. One was a cop. They couldn't. There's no way they can give me that kind of money.
right.
2 weeks later, bam, in the newspapers. New York Times,
So smart.
Daily
So
News,
smart.
Post. Chazz Palminteri, the big thing in Hollywood, makes $1 million deal.
That's fucking
They can't
genius.
call me and ask me for nothing.
That is fucking genius. That is unbelievable.
That's phenomenal.
They can't call me and ask me for nothing.
Oh, that is brilliant.
I
That
had
is
one
brilliant.
friend. I had one friend who had the balls to do it. He passed away. My friend Timmy Knapp. We call him Timmy Knapp. His last name was Napolitano. He called me up. He goes, Chaz, I saw what happened. Oh my God, I was happy for you. He goes, listen, my wife and I are buying a house. Could you help me with the down payment? I said, Timmy, you got a lot of balls asking me for money. And when I asked you, he goes, I know, God, I feel so bad. I go, well, you don't feel that bad. You're fucking asking.
Well, Chaz, now you know I don't have it. You asked me, so you don't all got the money. Help me out here.
He goes, so he goes, this would
I
mean,
love it.
if he go, what do you, we went to 25,000.
Whoa.
25,000. He said, if you could just lend me this money. I said, you're not going to pay me back. Stop the bullshit. Stop it. I said, come on. So I said, Tim, listen, if it was that bad, I mean, look, I could give you a couple of grand, but I can't give you 25,000. He goes, all right, I'll take a couple of grand. I hung up. Boom.
Jesus. Oh.
That is great, dude. That is so
was
brilliant. I
hustling.
love that. He called right as he knew he was gonna come into some money. I'm
Hey,
gonna
buddy.
clear. No one's gonna be asking me for shit.
They're not going to ask you for shit.
No,
Wow.
but one guy.
What made
One
you
guy.
think of that? When you were
Yeah,
just
well,
like
that's
that?
that's they don't teach you that in
That's the streets.
that's
Yeah.
street smarts, right? They don't teach you that in
The-
college.
The street is you always cry the blues. If you got money on you, you cry. If you don't cry, you're going to get asked. There's only 2 things that could happen. Here's another thing. My dad told me this. There's only 2 things that could happen if people think you have a lot of money. 1, they'll ask you for it. Or 2, they'll try to steal it
take
from you.
Yeah.
No good comes out of telling people you got a lot of money.
Unless it's at a bar with that girl.
Yeah, till this day, people go, how you doing, Chaz? Oh, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm doing all right.
Oh.
Oh, you must be making millions. I'm all right. I'm
It's a
comfortable.
down market.
You
Inflation's
cry,
killing me.
Inflation's a
you
real
cry.
nut.
You cry the blues.
Yeah.
Always cry. You know what I mean? Because if you don't,
Yeah, if you start being braggadocious and flexing on everyone, then
Well,
This is the segment
open
we need.
yourself up.
I need Chazz Palminteri's rules for life segment. I need one rule for life. This is the book. We got to get 365 rules for life, 1 a day. That's the TikTok. You got a great production team. Get your
Yeah.
TikTok on that. That's it. Chaz P's rules for
well,
life.
actually, me and Michael Francis, great Michael Francis,
Of course, yeah.
him and I did a podcast together. We're putting it together now. It's going to come out soon, and we take the great books, like Machiavelli and so many great books.
Very,
And-
very,
and-
very intelligent.
And
man,
we break
Michael.
it down. Him and I break it down in a street sense. It's really great. It's going to be great.
Oh, so
it's
you
awesome.
distill down these high level concepts into something
Yeah.
that's I like that a lot. That's
Yeah,
really
well,
cool.
I was a student of Machiavelli. I used to read Machiavelli, and that was really from Sonny, because the wise guys used to read Machiavelli in jail.
Yeah.
So he's the one
the
who
Prince,
turned-
I would imagine.
The
yeah.
Prince.
Yeah.
Prince is the ultimate.
Yeah.
Il
Principe.
and I always said, well, if you think about it, and I put the Prince in Bronx Tale.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I always did.
Well, that's, loved or feared.
Is it better
It's
to be loved or feared?
Absolutely. Well, it's better to be feared. 'Cause
Well,
it is
it's better to be
in
feared.
a medieval in the medieval context of what
In
Machiavelli
medieval
was talking
times,
about.
it's
Is
better to be
absolutely
feared.
right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I always say, people ask me, hey, Chaz, they always yell, is it better to be loved or feared? And I say, well, if you're Sonny, it's better to be feared. If you're Chaz Palminteri, it's better to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Makes sense.
And that's really makes sense. I mean, because if you remember what Sonny says, you think these people love me? They're afraid of me. But that's okay.
Right.
I accept that.
That's
see.
really any boss in any job,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
hey, you don't do what your boss tells you to do because
Look,
you love him. You do it because I don't want to get fired.
People take advantage. It's human nature. If you tell your friends, I got so much money now, whatever you need, they're going to ask you every day.
Well,
Yeah. they're gonna
Every
be
day.
hitting you up.
But you got to tell them, hey, I had to tell my friends, bye, guys. Have I lent money out to friends? Yes.
Yeah.
Has it been a loan? No. I say, here it is. This is not a loan. I don't want the money back.
yeah.
And I say that for two reasons. One, I'm not going to get it back. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
And two is, you're not going to ask me again.
Right.
You're never going to ask me again.
sure.
It's over.
Yeah.
Just like it cost me $20 to get rid of him, like in the
Sure.
movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same concept. He needed money for his rent. I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
I remember years ago I needed money for rent, and it hurts to ask.
Well, I actually have the opposite problem. I'd probably die in the streets before I asked anybody for help.
Yeah.
That's the stubborn
Well, there are
Irish-
times.
proud,
There are
yeah.
times that I had to do that. It was either that or, I don't know what. I wouldn't do anything wrong.
If you were 35 when you sold the script, were you close to giving up? You figure
Never,
you're never going to give up.
Never,
you're going to
never.
see it through to the end.
never.
Couldn't
Yeah.
waste this man's talent, bro. Had his
No.
pops telling him that from day one.
That's a tough
No.
thing, man. It's a tough thing. It's no different than your sport. I tell Mickey all the time. What I respect so much about those guys is you put me in there in a ring for one night, I'm game. Anybody can have that one fight.
Yeah.
Get in there and do it again the next day, twice a day, every day, 6 months.
The
That's-
training you're talking
the
about.
training, the dieting,
Yeah.
the sparring.
Yeah.
I lived one day in your life. I couldn't play pickleball the next day. I was like, I'm out.
The real key in anything you do, you're 37, you're 30 years old, is you have an immense amount of time on your side. So any money you make, you should try to put it somewhere, like an index fund, something like that. I know it seems small, but the more money, if you could just save $100 a month, by the time you're, 10, 20 years from now, you'll have a nice nest egg for retirement. And I know it's hard to think like that, but you have time. You're 30. That's young.
Yeah.
It's all going into my movie. I'm putting it all on black.
Yeah.
We're either going to double it or I'm going
but
bankrupt.
That's there's certain decisions that you have to make in your life that are the most important decisions. One is you have to show up and do the right thing. The second is the person you choose to marry is probably the second most important decision you have to make in your life. Because that person could either put wind in your sails or could bring you down.
Yeah.
Is this person that I'm marrying, or a girl could feel this? A girl could say the same thing. Is this guy an asset to my life or a detriment? Is he luggage, or is he wind in my sails?
That's tremendous.
One or the other. It's got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Now, if it's luggage, it's bad enough to make it on your own without somebody pulling you down.
Carrying, yeah. Fuck. That's brilliant.
So you have to think. So the decision you make when you get married, or any woman that you're with, is she helping me, or is she making my job harder?
That's really interesting. So, as a man, then let me ask you: do you think that you should you shouldn't look for relationships when you're younger. You should be settled in. You should have a career. You should have money and all that stuff.
Some people are mature enough that they fall in love in their 20s, and
But they don't have any money. They
don't have any money. But
Maybe
you know
they
what?
could
They
still be
do it
the
together.
wind,
But then the wife
you
and
know?
him do it together, and it's fine. My son is very, very. He's with his girlfriend now 6 years. He's 27. You've seen my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she was a great girl as well. Yeah.
Drop dead handsome, tall. You know, his girlfriend is beautiful.
Yep.
But my son is a one-woman guy. One woman. Like, we talk sometimes, and he lives in L.A., and I always say to him, I go, everything good with you and your girl? He goes, yeah. And I said, you never get tempted to, like, I'm just curious, Because I was totally the opposite.
Yeah.
I was the worst.
Yeah.
At that age, I was the worst.
I got to tell you, and
I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him because you know why? He's got a great life. And it worked out for me. I met a great girl. But some of my friends, they're
Seen
still
it go the other way.
They're in their 60s going to bars.
Yeah.
I mean, guys,
That's
I get.
sad. That's
But
so sad.
Come on.
I want to be a father. But I really have never ever once in my life wanted to be a husband.
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes everything sense. Yeah, that tells me you're a selfish bastard. That's what that tells. It tells me you're. Am I right, honey? Am I right? Thank you. There's a young lady.
When you got me, you got. But
that tells me you're.
I do want to be a father, though.
You
so,
tells
hey,
me
how
you're
you
a
doing?
selfish bastard and you want your cake and eat it too. Well, you know what?
Come on.
Life ain't that way. Oh, I want a son so I could say my son, but you don't want to do the work. Bullshit.
God, you're calling out my soul right now. This is
Bullshit.
exactly what I
Bro,
want.
this is what you needed to
This
hear,
is
bro.
exactly what I want.
This is you got to listen to your mentor right
Because
here.
what is
brother.
what is your son going to say?
I can have a catch with my son. I can't have a catch with my wife.
You think catch makes a father?
No.
Are you kidding me? A father, when he looks at his father and he sees the way he treats his mother,
That's very much true.
That's everything.
That's very much true.
That's everything.
Okay, but also can we have a conversation about like reasonable expectations? If you're with a woman for 10 years, that's 3,650 days, and you're faithful for 3,649 days, and one day you're not, and that's a failed marriage. I don't know, man. That's unreasonable expectations.
What do you want, a medal? What do you want? You want a medal, man? You want a fucking medal?
I don't want a medal. Don't you think it's unreasonable expectations?
Okay, is it better than the man who cheats every day, every week?
No, I don't think that guy should get
person?
married.
I mean, well, then the woman has to consider that. You cheated once in 10 years. She has to think about that. And if she could handle it, great. Some women can't. They say you broke the trust, that's it.
But I'd like to be that good guy that doesn't. I'd like to be that good guy. I want to, I think a family is everything. Like, there's
Right.
nothing more important than family. It's just, I feel it's very complicated in today's world because everybody knows everything about everybody at every time.
Right.
Like everything's on a cell phone. You get accused of things that you've never done. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah. It's
I'm coming off like a real cad here. But I just,
No. I mean, when you're famous, the thing about being famous is you get blamed for a lot of stuff you didn't do, and then you get blamed for things you did do.
Don't look at me. I'm not famous. The two of you can have this
You know what I'm
conversation.
saying? So it's is it great to be famous? Yeah, you can get a table at any restaurant you want, and that's great, and people like you and they respect your work. But is it going to make you happy in the end? No. Some of the most famous people that I've met in my life are the most unhappiest.
Why does it seem that way?
I think that maybe that thing, that fame they're chasing, isn't all they thought it would be.
Well, to that example, I have a friend of mine in L.A., beautiful, beautiful woman. Really one of the only people I enjoyed hanging out with in L.A., and then she just took her own life. And,
Yeah, wow.
And I think I don't want to speculate, but I know her well enough to know that her desperation to A, be famous, and B, try to keep up with the Joneses out there. It was just a nonstop cycle of depression for her. There was just she needed external validation every second of her
that's
life.
Too much. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah. And then she started getting surgeries and all these things, and it just that. But again, that's a now society thing, right? Like I mean, we're on the internet, we're on social media, we all need external validation.
Well, the internet has been the worst thing in the world for everything. everybody, a lot of young kids take their lives because they get bullied on the internet. They get ghosted.
Cyberbullying.
They get ghosted by their friends.
Well,
and
the
they
cancel
think
culture is real tough.
The cancel culture. You know what I mean? If you know who you are, then nobody could hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read a review of any movie I did, any Broadway show I do.
You've never read a single review?
The only reviews I ever read were Bronx Tale, and that was 30-something years ago.
Wow.
After that, I realized, I remember Bob De Niro told me, don't read reviews, it's the worst thing for you. And the good reviews are worse than the bad.
Why is that?
Because it blows you up like a big potato chip, and you want more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you get a bad one, you're destroyed. So I discount the good ones and the bad ones. I discount everything.
I completely agree with that. It's the same thing with comments on like your Instagram, because
I don't even read them.
Anyone who's gonna, you shouldn't.
No, I don't.
We don't need this information. It really doesn't matter what any of these people who can just say some bullshit to you, whether they're saying you're the fucking best, you're the GOAT, you're the man, or they're talking shit and saying you suck, this blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
doesn't matter.
It's just some other like I always say, like, to people who sweat that stuff, is like, everybody's perception is different. My mother's, my father's, your perception of me, Gerard's perception of me, people who I know and respect, it's all gonna be a different perception. So why would I give a shit what some dork who doesn't know me whatsoever wants to type to me and send? Whether it tells me a good thing or tells me a bad thing, like, either way, it's you know what I mean.
Right, here's the difference.
BS.
Here's the key. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
In the end, nobody gives a shit.
It's true. Do you think, like, in the future, we're going to become so clout-centric that people are going to put their Instagram follower count on their headstone?
My God.
Here lies Timmy. Went outside 4 whole times, died with 1.5 million Twitch streamers.
You know, look, I have a shameless plug. I have 2 great Italian restaurants that I own.
Come on.
Hey, we can talk about that for a while. Let's talk about it.
We were just here, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And you were just there. Chazz Palminteri's. I have one 30 West 46th Street, another one 264 Main Street.
No, we haven't been to that one.
Now, my restaurants, you've been there. They're great.
Oh, the one in Midtown's unbelievable.
One of the 2 of the top restaurants I have. These are my, okay. Always on the Instagram, you get one person, I wasn't crazy about it. Do you think I give a shit about that?
What is there not to be crazy?
I know, exactly.
The service is 5-star. Like, the service
is 5-star. The food is through the roof. And not for nothing. If my name's on an Italian restaurant, you know it's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't expecting is how good the steak is. The Chateaubriand is out of control.
Dude,
out of
everything.
control.
The lamb chops, everything
right.
was...
But I don't give a shit what people... You know, I know the restaurant's great. That's it. But you can't please everybody all the time.
Yeah. If you look at him and he gives you a good review in a restaurant, ignore it. You look at me and I give you a good review, take that to the bank.
Take that to the bank.
Take that to the bank.
You've seen me eat. You know what I'm saying carries weight.
I saw this kid eat.
Oh, you saw me eat. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Because he eats nothing, and then when he gets to eat,
when he eats, it's like...
Oh, yeah. No, I eat. I work out a lot. I got to fuel all this. You know what I mean? I probably eat more than you.
Even my son goes, when he got one of them, he got in the car, he goes, Dad, did you see how much Mickey ate? I said, that guy can eat.
Dude, that was a light meal. That was a light meal.
He's big on the protein, man. But I mean, you've got, so what else? What is there left for you, Chaz? You've owned restaurants. You're an entrepreneur. You've written. You've directed. You've acted. You've done diverse roles. You've been the bad guy.
Right.
You've been the big boss. You've been the cop. You played a homosexual character on Modern Family. That was a turn I didn't expect. That was
fun. That was fun.
What do you want? Like, give me your wish list here.
My wish list is I want to play a priest.
Is that right?
Yeah, I want to play a priest really bad. I think I'm going to have to write it myself. I want to be a priest.
Interesting.
I always wanted to play a priest.
In a period piece, or
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I like to play a priest who's a renegade priest who has a parish in the South Bronx or something.
Really?
And he's so
an agent of social change, or
he's like a tough guy, but he believes very much in God, and he's kind of like stuck between the love of God and the love and who he was when he was younger. I've always wanted to play.
Now, is there a way that we can take the two and put them together? You wanted to play a fantasy character, and you want to play a priest. Maybe this priest hunts vampires at night, or...
Hey, forget everything I said about his good ideas, all right? Forget everything I said about all the brilliant ideas you had.
Yeah.
Just go back to my
You
food
ruined it.
reviews.
You
Just
ruined
go back
it.
to my
Yeah,
food
go back
reviews.
No, I always wanted to. I like writing. I'm writing another play right now for Broadway for me and Giancarlo Esposito, who's
wow.
a great actor.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that gets there. We'll see. And I'm going to write another musical. So we'll see.
Dude, amazing. Can't wait to see him. First, we can't wait to see you live.
You're going to see me live.
January 29th.
Yeah, it's the 29th.
January
We will be there.
29th, Paramount Theater in Huntington. Be there. We're
Yep.
filming the show. If you want to go to my Instagram, Chazz Palminteri, or go to my site, chazzpalminteri.net.
Absolutely.
That's when my whole schedule for the whole year is on. I'm doing another national tour this year in between the TV show and everything else, Gravesend. So it should be good.
That's phenomenal.
Life is good, bro.
Life's good, Chaz.
Life
Life's
Yeah,
good.
is
you
good.
made it happen. You made it happen, Chaz.
You
know
make
what
it
I mean?
happen by
made it
you make
happen.
it happen by working very hard, showing up, and doing the right thing. You know, you got to do the right thing, man. If you don't do the right thing, life is like dominoes. You know, it's all dominoes. Your next decision is your most important. Your next move is your most important. If you make the wrong move, the dominoes go boop, 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 boop. You ever show up late for work? You show up late for work. You're rushing in the car. Oh, shit, you're rushing. You go through a lot. You get a speeding ticket. Finally, you get to work. Your boss is pissed off at you. You argue with him. Now you're fucked up. You get home. You're upset. You eat something. It's like a domino thing. You get up early. You get there on time. Life is different.
But most people that happens to, I feel, they don't have that type of self-actualization. They think the universe is against them. They think,
Yes.
oh my God, look at everything bad that happened in this world. God's against me. And
No, people who say that, people who say I never caught a break in my life, never saw a break in their life. They had the break there, but they didn't see it.
They didn't see it.
They
They
didn't
didn't
see it.
recognize it. Yeah.
Dennis, how many times you don't show up for something? Oh, I don't want to go for that audition. Oh, I don't want to show up. That job, I'm never going to get that job. It's a self-prophecy.
Fortune favors the bold. You got to be bold and go out there and put yourself out there.
Look,
Show up. Like
we
you're
are
saying.
look, and not to get philosophical here. We are made out of the same matter that the universe is made out of.
all stardust, baby.
So don't you feel that it's all connected?
I do.
100%.
It's
I
all
do.
connected.
Yeah.
So the more you are in touch with the universe and being happy. See, okay, let me sum it up. This is when you're tight, you're like this, and the universe bounces off you. All good things happen to you, but they bounce off. You can't see it. You can't see it. As soon as you go like this and you open up, the universe goes right. You draw it. You ever notice when you break up with your girlfriend or a girl breaks up with a guy? When a woman breaks up with a guy, and then you talk to her, she goes, I can't meet a guy, I don't know what it is. She's so depressed over the breakup. As soon as she meets another guy and falls in love, every guy wants to sleep with her. Every guy. Am I right? As soon as you're happy, and you're in love with a girl or she's in love with a guy, every guy is hitting on you. Every girl is hitting on you. Why?
Sure.
The reason why? Because they want to be in that glow.
You
they
think
wanna
that
feel
energy is
that energy is like,
tangible.
oh my God, I got to meet her. But as soon as you get these women and men, I can never find a girl. I give up with love. Who the fuck who wants to be around that?
I agree.
Nobody.
I agree with you 1,000%. But also, as someone that struggled with depression too, like,
Yes.
how do you get through? Like, especially in our industry with no. Like, how do you? After a while, those no's start. They. It's almost like you were talking about with the comments, right?
No.
There's a
Right.
1,000 yeses, and then the no just
Okay,
sits on you.
I can
every
make you,
no,
I can,
every
you know
no,
what I
every
told,
no.
you know what I teach a class in college. I do a master class in college. I teach. Great question. And somebody just said that to me. They just said, Chaz, how do you deal with the no's? The no's. How do you deal with the no's? Okay. I can make you feel better right now the next time you hear the word no.
Go ahead.
Right now. If I told you
Yeah.
76 no's you're going to get, but the 77th one is going to be a yes.
Yeah.
How would you feel about the next no you get?
Get me one step closer to the yes.
That's it.
If I was able to maintain that
Right.
mind frame.
So okay, I got 10 no's. Great. I only got 67 more to go. That's the way you would feel. You would feel closer to your dream.
Good perspective.
So that's the mindset that you got to have. Okay, I kept saying, I'm going to make it. When I was broke, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to make it. And I was always happy for other people's success, always. Because who wants to be tight when you're this?
Sure.
Okay? I was always happy. And sooner or later, I knew it was going to happen. Some people look at the world like it has 6 slices. And if Chazz Palminteri gets a slice and Mickey gets a slice, that's only 4 slices left. They go, shit.
Yeah. And those people are called
There's
communists.
4 slices left. Son of a bitch. I look at the world like it's got 6 billion slices. There's room for everybody.
Abundance.
100%.
You believe in
Yeah, the abundance
the idea of
mindset
yeah.
versus the what is that? What's the other? What is the opposite of that? Like a
Scarcity,
fixed
probably.
scarcity. Yeah, scarcity. That's it. You got
Yeah.
it.
But it's also tough though. Like, so in comedy, right? When you're first starting out and you're like, I'm gonna get these no's,
Right.
but then you get to a certain level where you're like, I shouldn't be getting no's anymore, and then those no's hurt more, you know.
Right.
But those no's are like, those are different no's. Like you're. It used to be like, I just need to get on any show. But now I need to get on a show at this price, and I need to get on a show that has this many tickets sold. So you still hear those no's. I tell Mick all the time, man, and I'm like, my job as a comedian isn't to tell jokes. My job is to get booked. My job is to get auditioned. My job is to get that. I almost feel like comedy for me is a reward for doing my job. That 45 minutes I get on stage is a reward for getting booked. You know, and it takes.
But the best, you see, what the internet has done, I'll tell you, what the internet has done is, as a performer, you could be. What do you think the studios? You know what they're doing now? They finally realized it was a mistake. They hired a lot of these TikTok kids.
Yeah, but they can't.
60 million followers,
Yeah.
80 million.
Yeah.
They're thinking they would translate, and
doesn't.
it doesn't. It doesn't. You get record companies. They hire these kids, 40 million. They make a record. It doesn't translate. They realize now it's a mistake.
Yeah.
But you build up your following. You build up your podcast. I build up my podcast. And you have more avenues of revenue.
Sure.
You can never be wealthy with a salary, ever. You got to have passive income. You got to have passive income, whether it be restaurant, whether it be this, whether it be that. You know.
What was the first thing you bought when you got your big check? When you got your when they bought the Bronx Tale?
Oh my God,
I don't think you invested in an ETF, did you?
I never owned a home before. You know.
good investment.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. Do we have time?
Sure.
Okay, we have time. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story. I haven't told this story. In my thing. Okay, I'll tell you this, what happened. I'm sitting there with my friend Dayton Cali. I'm in this apartment in L.A. I made a deal with Bronx Tale. I made the deal. I'm waiting for my first check. Okay? I'm sitting there in my apartment, and my friend is next to me, my friend Dayton, and we're talking, him and I. And finally I go, we're talking about the scene we're going to do at the Monday Night Workshop. I get a knock on the door. I walk over to the door. I open the door. I signed with William Morris. I signed with them. They said, "You're Chazz Palminteri?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "This is from William Morris. Here." Gives me an envelope. I'm used to getting envelopes from William Morris. So, scripts and shit. So I'm talking to my friend, and we're talking. I open up the envelope, and I look at the envelope, and it's, I'm doing this. I turned to him, and I say, "Dayton, I got a check for $50,000. And he goes, "What?" Now, $50,000 to me at that time was $5 million.
Omri,
What?
1985. Pull up the equivalency of $50,000 in today's money.
So he walks over to me and goes on my shoulder to look. He goes, "Chaz," and he puts his finger on the check, and he's counting the zeros. He goes, "Chaz." I couldn't even see. I was so blinded. He goes, "That's $500,000. So I go like this. I go, and then my eyes clear up, and I see 500,000, and I go. I don't say a word. He doesn't say a word. He sits down on the couch. I sit down on the ottoman No one said a word for 3 minutes. You know how long 3 minutes is? Mm-hmm. If I'm quiet right now for 3 minutes, it's a lifetime. It's a lifetime. Not a word. He doesn't say a word. I don't say a word. And all of a sudden, after 3 minutes, this is from being broke and trying all my life. Tears start rolling down my face. Oh, yeah. And he looks at me. He goes, "You okay?" I go, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. So I finally get up. He hugs me. I hug him. This was my first payment of the millions I was getting. I get a check for $500,000, right? So I go, you know what that's like to have no money and now you got this? Okay. So I go, listen to this. But this is unbelievable. I haven't told this story too many times. When I was broke years ago, I had to sell my vacuum cleaner to pay for my electric bill because they shut off my electric, and I had to get the.
That's broke, baby.
So I had a friend come over, and I said, "Look, this is a great vacuum." And he goes, "Chaz, let me give you the money." I said, "No, I don't want to take no money. Take the vacuum." He gave me the money. I paid my electric bill, and then everything worked out okay. So I turned to him and I go, "Dayton, I'm going." I'm going to the store and I'm going to buy the best fucking vacuum cleaner I said, I don't give a fuck what it is. There was the Electrolux, those big ones,
Sure.
Right, you pick
my
up.
Mom used to dance around the house.
You pick up a bowling ball and shit.
My mom used to dance around the house to Donna Summer.
Right. So I go. So he goes. So neighborhood guys. He goes, "I need one too."
I was here when you got the check.
So I go, "I'm buying you the best fucking vacuum cleaner."
Hey,
listen to this.
Concierge, 2 Oryx over here, please.
So we walk into a store. I cannot, for the life of me, I can't remember, but it was one of those big things like Home Depot. It was one of those big stores. We walk in, right on Wilshire Boulevard. I'll never forget it. Walk in. I got the check folded in my pocket.
Oh man, I'd be going nuts.
Right, I'm going crazy.
Nuts.
I got a credit card. I'm saying, "Fuck this! I got the money." I said, I go to the guy. "I want 2 vacuum cleaners." The guy goes, "Well, sir," I said, "Listen to me. I want the best. I don't give a fuck about the money." He goes, "All right, I'll show you. I'll show you."
A little something for your kids.
And he's showing me the vacuum cleaners. All of a sudden, listen to where this story goes. I hear glass breaking. And I go, loud, like glass breaking. And I hear somebody yelling. I go, "What the fuck?" So it was around the aisle, right? So I walk around the aisle, and there's like 3 guys with ski masks on. A guy puts a gun in my face and says, "Eat the floor, motherfucker." What happened was 2 guys were breaking this thing where the jewelry was, and 1 guy was holding everybody at bay with a gun. And I just happened to walk right around the fucking thing.
You've got to be kidding.
Me and my hand to
With
God.
$500,000 in his fucking pocket.
Listen to this. So me and Dayton hit the fucking ground. We're laying on the floor with everybody else, right? He's going, "Eat the floor, motherfucker."
I'm thinking about eating the check.
Right? So I'm laying there on the floor, and we're laying like this. Dayton's head is here. My head is here. We're looking at each other. And I see this guy walking around with a gun, and I hear the alarm going off. So in my mind, I'm going, the street. I'm going, wait a minute. Alarm, cops coming, hostage. No fucking way. So I turn to him and I go, "Dayton, I'm not fucking dying now. Not now," right? We crawl around the aisle, him and I. When the guy's going the other way, we sneak around the aisle and we're crawling and we're running towards the emergency door. We run to the emergency door. There was 2 of these old women who were like catatonic. I grab one, he grabs the other. We kick the fucking door open. I take one out, he takes the other out.
You saved the ladies on top of it.
Well, I don't know if we did, but they were way in the back of the store. They just were scared. And then we ran. But do you imagine?
You gotta be kidding me.
What the fuck?
You imagine that fucking shit? And we were laughing, and I said, "Do you imagine? I could have died again from a fucking killing." Do you imagine this?
Shit.
But I'll never forget because I'll never forget my mind. But I had the sense. Okay, Chaz, just be cool. He pulled a gun on me, and I just went, "Whoa, whoa, okay, all right." I went, "Whoa, whoa." I just laid down on the floor. I remember he said, "Eat the floor, motherfucker," and I just laid down. And but anyway, that was my first thing I was going to buy was.
I think the lesson of that story, Chaz, is if you have $500,000, get it made.
No, but here's the best thing. The next day, I go to the bank. Okay, so I go to the bank the next day.
That would have been the first thing I did with that check, bro. You walked
Well,
around
no, it
with
was
that check
late.
all
It was
day?
late. It was late. So the next day, it was late. I got the check at 6, 7 at night.
Wait, you say you were on Wilshire Boulevard when that place got broken into?
Yes, it was on Wilshire. I forgot the
shit.
name of it.
Because you were broke. You were living in the hood over there.
Yeah, I was living, where I was living,
Yeah.
Hollywood Vine, So then finally, the next day I go to the teller, and there was this really gorgeous girl there who was behind the counter. And I've been hitting on her for like 6 months, and she ain't giving me shit, nothing. But why? Because every time I go there, I give her my unemployment check. So I was getting $127 a month unemployment.
She knows too much.
So she sees my unemployment check. She goes, right, I'm going to be with this fucking loser. Right. So I say, hey, Judy something. I forgot her last name. So I said, hey, if she's watching, fuck you, Judy. So she knows about that anyway. So so now I go up there. I go up there and she's looking at me. I go, hey, how you doing? She goes, yeah, I'm good. She's doing good. Hi, how are you? Hi. So I go, yeah, I got my check, I give it to her. She goes like this. She goes, could you hold on 1 second? I said, sure. She goes, I see her talking to the people in the back, on the desk. Guy comes over, Mr. Palminteri, come. All of a sudden, they open up the thing. I go in the back. Judy, get him some coffee. Right? So now I go there. I deposit the $500,000. I'm talking to him. He's like, forget it. I was like a star.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm leaving. So she goes, hey, Chaz, it's good seeing you. Now she's saying goodbye to me. I go, hey, good seeing you. I'm really nice.
Sure. What's your name again?
Really nice. So next week goes by. I get another $500,000.
This is a good
My
2
man.
weeks, bro.
I love-
This
okay.
is a
I
solid
love
month.
this story.
She
For
sees me
context,
again.
guys,
She
that's
goes-
$1.4 million
she goes-
in today's money.
What is?
$500,000.
In today's money?
1.4 million.
So my guy got 2.5 in 2 weeks?
Well,
Three
solid.
mil.
3.8.
What
Three
else?
mil. Yeah.
So I go back there, and I go, hey, how you doing? She goes, hey, how are you? I go, fine.
She sweetened up real fast.
Right?
Huh?
I give her the check. She goes, oh. She's like, she don't even know how to fucking talk.
Starts popping buttons open.
But-
It's getting hot in
but
here,
you know,
Chaz.
but here's the way I was. I never said nothing to her. I was never nasty to her. In fact, I was totally opposite. I was just as nice as I could be to her. I never asked her out. I would never ask her out. And she was really nice to me. She wanted me to ask her out, but I wouldn't do it. But I was very nice to her. I was always sweet to her.
Eat
always
your
very
heart out,
nice.
bitch.
No. But
Back then, Judy didn't
You know
want me.
what?
Now I'm hot. Judy, you're all
you know
over.
what? Success is the best revenge.
Oh, God.
So I just was very
Amen.
nice to her. I never was nasty to her. And if she's listening to this, you know what? You're still a good kid,
It was that's my favorite Bruce Springsteen song, Rosalita, where
Right.
his lyrics he talks
Yeah.
about he was dating this girl and the dad
Yeah.
didn't like him because he was a loser that did bar shows.
Yeah.
So tell him this is his last chance to get his daughter in a fine romance because the record company Rosie just gave me a big advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the beautiful song, and you can tell by the way Bruce sings it that it really happened to him. He's like,
That
oh
happened to
yeah?
him, yeah.
I'm not good enough. What do you think now?
Yeah. Well, and you know what? To be honest with you, she had every right in the world not to go out with me. She really did. Think about it. Why would you go out with a guy who's collecting $127 a week unemployment? Why? I mean, she was right.
Because he can do better than you when he's worth 2.4.
Yeah, I know, but think about that. She was right. I
Yeah,
really,
she didn't see your potential. I think she fucked up. She wasn't perceptive. She
Yeah.
missed it.
yeah, but I went out with girls when I was broke. I went out with a lot of girls when I was broke. I always had a good rap, and but no, she was a girl who just said, you know what, I don't want to be involved with a guy. Don't forget, I was not a kid now.
Sure.
I was
How
38 years old.
How did your life change once you had that financial stability?
I was. Look, here's the deal with money. Money makes good people better and bad people worse. That's the way it is.
Amen.
Okay?
Yep.
If you're a good person, you'll be a good person. If you're an asshole, what money does is just make you a bigger asshole. That's all it does. That's it. That's it. I always treated people the right way. I was always nice to everybody. I was always a gentleman. I never treated women badly. I was always just I was a good person, you know. And that was my father. What did I tell you? Do the right thing. Do the right thing, son. And that's the way my children are. Do the right thing. You know. But my wife is the same way. Do the right thing. You treat people the right way. You know. I don't know. I've seen what money can do to people. And people go, man, do you see this guy? He became famous. He became an asshole. I said, nah, not really. He just became a famous asshole.
He was always an
He
asshole.
was always an asshole, you know.
Yeah. Well, the maturity does matter, though, too, because I talk to Mick all the time. I was like, if I moved to Miami when I was 22, I'd be dead. Yeah, I had to come to Miami.
Oh,
later
no,
in life,
no
like,
question.
You know.
I think if I was 22 when this happened to me, it might have been a different story. Don't get me wrong, but I was 38 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a man.
You'd been through it, yeah.
I've been through
yeah.
it. You know, so I've been through being broke.
Was there a certain level of like imposter syndrome you had to go through where you like, this is going to get taken away, this is only temporary?
No.
Yeah.
No, never. I always felt I deserved to be here. I still do. I'm gifted.
Yeah. No argument here.
No,
brother.
I mean, no, I don't care what anybody. When I say that, I don't give a shit if somebody says you're an asshole for thinking that. No, I'm gifted. I'm gifted as an actor and I'm gifted as a writer. I believe that in my heart.
Well, there's
you know.
empirical evidence to prove you right.
Well,
It's easy to say it now, but having that conviction before the success is what's that.
but I
think
had
separates
that
you.
conviction before.
I believe it.
Money and fame doesn't make you feel successful. You have to feel successful before that. If that just if the
Same
money
thing
and-
you're saying with the universe.
Yes.
You know, if you believe that beforehand, then you're going to attract that, and that's what
I always get asked that question when I was when I made it. After I made it, I would get interviews and go, "Did you ever feel like quitting? Were you ever going to quit?" And I said, "No." They said, "Did you ever think you were not going to make it?" I said, "No."
Yeah.
Well, how could you feel that way?
Yeah.
I don't know. I had parents who said, I had incredible parents who said I was going to be a star, who I was going to make it, that I was talented. I had two sisters that were very successful. Both my sisters became very successful, way before their brother, before me, and then I caught up to them, you know. But I had parents who always said, "You're going to be somebody. You're going to be great. You have talent." And I know we're on for a while here, but I'll give you a story that my parents did to show you what kind of parents I had. When I was a young actor, when I was boxing, when I was a bouncer, you know, at 1982, the Limelight. Okay, it was a nightclub. Amen. You guys remember the Limelight? Yeah.
Is that where you was that you and I read somewhere you and Dolph Lundgren bounced together?
Dolph was after me.
Okay.
We never. I think we bounced a week together. Then I left. But I was working at the Limelight in 1982. It just opened.
Which, before you get into it, Mickey's never bounced, oddly enough, the professional fighter.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I did it for a long time. Worst job I ever.
Worst job in the world.
It's the worst job.
It's a fun job. You meet a lot of girls. You have a lot of fun.
For the first month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now you won't want to bounce down. Back then, when I bounced, it was great. You didn't get shot. You know, it was nice.
Too many
it was
cameras nowadays.
Too
Too many cameras.
cameras.
Too many cameras.
fun. Yeah. So I would sometimes I couldn't get on the schedule, whatever, and I was collecting unemployment. I couldn't cash a check, whatever. So my parents lived on top, and I lived on the bottom in this apartment house, this little apartment house. After we moved out of the Bronx, and so I would write on a card, "Dear Dad, could I have $20 for gas?" And I would slip the card underneath the door. And the next morning I wake up, and there'd be $20 there, because I get home at 4 or 5 in the morning, you know, from bouncing. And this went on for like maybe 5 months, where I needed money. And then finally, I got a small part in a off-Broadway show, and I didn't need it anymore. Cut to 25 years later, I get nominated for Academy Award. I make it, I'm big, the whole thing. So I tell my mother and father, I said, "I want you to walk down the red carpet with me." They said, "Great. We would love to do that." I said, "Great." So, you know, you pull up, Joan Rivers is there, all the people, you know, everybody. I get out of the car with my wife. My wife is eight months pregnant at the time with Dante. And we get out of the car. And just before we get out, my father goes, "I think I'm going to give it to him now." My mother goes, "Yeah, give it to him. Go ahead." My father puts his hand in his pocket, takes out this envelope with all these stack of cards about this thick, and he gives it to me. I said, "What's this?" He goes, "Just look at what it is." We open it up, we look at it. And the cards are all $20, $10, $30 of me asking for money. And I said, "What? You saved these cards?" And he said, "Yeah, me and your mother saved them because we knew this day was going to happen."
Wow.
And we figured we would give them to you when it happened. Now think about that. How could parents...
It's love.
How could parents get cards from their son and say, let's save them because when he's a big star and he gets nominated for Academy Award, we're going to give it to him?
Wow.
Where in God's name do you have that kind of faith in a child? That's why I never gave up. That's why.
Tremendous.
Well, there's not much to say after
Are you
that.
crying?
That choked me up a little bit. That's solid.
That's true. That's a
'Cause
true story.
I think
was
my dad,
beautiful.
as much as I love my father, he'd be like, "Congratulations, son. You owe me $1,800." Chaz.
Chaz, you're the definition of class, my brother.
Hey, thanks,
you're a
man.
legend. You are an absolute legend.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me on the
Thank you.
show.
Thank you.
Don't forget, tell people they want to hear more stories, go to my podcast.
Absolutely.
Yes, the Chaz Palminteri show.
Go to my
ChazPalminteri.net.
Yes.
Omri,
And-
we
and-
got to put together. He gave us so many gems. We got to put together
Yeah.
Chaz's top 10 rules for life from this episode for him. That's
Yeah,
got to
we're
be a
gonna
short
clip
clip,
this
man.
shit
Oh, I
out of
got
this.
plans. Don't worry.
Oh,
My
this
man.
is
All right,
phenomenal,
Omri.
man.
Good
Yeah.
job.
From I got to wrap her up here from the wonderful Gas Digital Network studios here in New York, New York. You can check us out at gasdigital.com. We are every Monday and Friday at 1 p.m. I am Gerard Michaels. That is Mickey Gall. This was Chaz Palminteri, my favorite episode we've ever done. If you made it all the
Unbelievable.
way through to the end,
You're
ladies and gentlemen,
blessed. You're welcome.
are
You're welcome.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
God bless.
Peace.